Introduction. Overthinking is very common and debilitating. It can hinder you from socializing or from having a sound sleep, affects your performance at work, and even disrupt a well-planned vacation. When overthinking becomes chronic, it can lead to both physical and mental discomfort. In summary, overthinking can leave you both physically and mentally exhausted. If this is how you feel at the moment, you might have attempted various ways of escaping from such a depressing situation with no success. Overthinking is one of the most common reactions that we tend to have as individuals. Often we mull over things that have happened or we believe are going to happen. It is a valuable skill to have, to reflect and think about the things that have occurred in our lives. However, it is one thing to reflect with the purpose of learning and growing from the past, and it is another completely different thing to constantly go over painful situations that we can't do much about. Then there is the dreaded future. When you overthink the future, you are often invaded by thoughts of what could be or what might not be. You might find yourself constantly concerned about events that upon rational examination are unlikely to happen. Yeah, your mind is overly active, worried about grave consequences. In the present, overthinking might take the form of waiting too long to make a decision. You might find yourself being hesitant about what to do or what to say. Then, before you know it, your opportunity has passed and you are left with nothing but regret about having missed an opportunity due to your inability to act. As a result, thinking things too much, dwelling on the past for too long, or concerning yourself with the future in excess may lead you to miss the wonderful opportunities that life has for you today. We must always be mindful of our thoughts and actions, but a person may influence himself negatively by overthinking issues in an obsessive or compulsive manner that leads to self-destructing or self-defeating behavior. Very often, the person does not know how to solve these problems and can revert to envy and denial that nurtures his insecurities. Parenting and upbringing can be a factor for one to develop into an overthinker. Parents do not intend to harm their children in the course of their growing, nor do they intend to restrict their children's lives. Parents who might have experienced bad situations in their childhood lives can simply be a bit overcautious with their children. Not that their style is worse or poorer, but they might not realize that their principles are fear-guided. If one grows up knowing that the world is not a very safe place to live freely, then they will become more sensitive to the dangers that might arise and how they need to handle them. They never experience a feeling of safety, but are always suspicious of danger. Such childhoods are dominated by beliefs that people are not to be trusted. This makes one live looking out for what other people are conspiring against them, never allowing themselves to relax. This audiobook will teach you how to overcome your overthinking problems so that you can find a sense of ease and relaxation in your life, allowing you to become more creative and more productive than ever before. Chapter 1. Understanding the Principles of Overthinking. Oh, what is overthinking? Overthinking is reviewing experiences, replaying them repeatedly, and dwelling on thoughts and things that have happened or are about to happen. Overthinking is irritating to the mind and can result in serious consequences to an individual's life. There are many ways of describing overthinking. It can be understood as a situation where one cannot stop worrying and thinking about things. Overthinking is not a disorder. It involves a fear that grows in you and overwhelms you, but you can't help yourself but let it do so. In some cases, instead of crying it out, you simply opt to hold back your tears. It's the fear of failure, failing at your job, failing a certain class, failing in your relationships, Overthinking drives you to work hard for unrealistic expectation. This might sound productive, but in reality, you will be exhausted by maintaining this pace. Thinking too much leads to exhaustion. Emotionally and physically, you will feel exhausted since your mind never stops. It is always flooded with thoughts, and the worst thing about it is that you believe there is nothing you can do. Overthinking is that inner voice that tries to bring you down. It criticizes you and destroys your confidence and self-esteem. You not only doubt yourself, but you also doubt those who are close to you. It pushes you to second-guess everything. Thinking too much can be compared to a spreading fire. It burns down everything that it finds on its way. Therefore, you will suffer as a result of overthinking. Overthinking is when your mind clings to the faults that you have made and takes you through them throughout the day. When you overthink, your life will be on constant pause. You will always feel as though you are waiting for the right moment to do something. The problem is that this moment never arrives. You're always anticipating that something could go wrong. You will be overly careful when doing anything. This is influenced by the fact that you are just worried things might not work out as expected. Some experiences in life can also lead to overthinking. When overthinking starts to affect the mental and emotional part of an individual, then they need to consider getting professional assistance. Dwelling on thoughts that are not going away will generally affect the well-being of an individual, her normal functioning in life, and result in the development of several illnesses. Mental illnesses such as anxiety disorders, panic disorders, trauma, phobias, and bipolar disorders, among others, can cause one to have no control over the rushing thoughts in their minds. What makes overthinking a big problem? One bad thing about overthinking is that one can easily become addicted to use this as an opportunity to distract themselves from the reality of daily life. Undoubtedly, we could and do face a variety of different problems each day, but focusing more on these potential problems will mean that we are disconnected from the present moment. When you dig deep into yourself, you can achieve more. You can surpass limits and accomplish many things. But if you overthink excessively, you will end up hurting yourself. You will also keep doing things that are not healthy for your body. However, if you can resist the urge to overthink, you have a much greater chance of achieving happiness. Your day-to-day tasks can only be accomplished when you are in good health. The best way to achieve this is to engage some form of daily exercise. Most individuals who seek good health fit in some form of workout every day. As they attain a higher level of health, they become better equipped to overcome emotional blocks and to develop patterns of clear thinking. How can you also overcome emotional blocks that may limit your success? How can you feel more joy, unite your mind, body, and soul, and become more productive in your daily activities? Reading further will allow you to explore the answers to these questions. Factors that influence overthinking. Regrets. Regretting a word or wrong action leads to such an individual replaying the scenario repeatedly. The victim can overthink about diverse outcomes of such a scenario. When people make mistakes, it is obvious that they feel bad about them, but it is equally important to know that no one can change the past. Knowing how to shake off the past is important in ensuring that one remains with a sound mind even after a mistake. Pressure for performance at work. Everyone wants to leave an excellent impression. However, working towards that excellence has nothing to do with a collection of overloaded thoughts. The anxiety of whether one will measure up to the quality standard will only create an unhealthy mind that will be incapable of working towards excellence. When there is the desire to perform, a relaxed mind is the best platform that can absorb new methods, techniques, and information to adapt to for excellence. The fear of the unknown. Some people are just too creative and can imagine non-existing disasters. The fear that something bad might happen can only be fought through conquering such thoughts with other positive thoughts. A fear can affect the thinking of a victim and place them in a difficult situation of overthinking. When such victims detect such thoughts as they set in, they should discard them to help to save their mind from overthinking. Obsessive thoughts, whatever the subject of the thoughts, obsessive thinking can lead to overthinking. This can subsequently lead to an unhealthy state of mind. Obsessive thinking can be because of waiting for an interview, a date, or a performance. A victim can be caught up in too much thinking about what to say, do, or how things will turn out. Thinking too much about such things during such scenarios has negative results. The mind is always overloaded and performs poorly. Obsessive thinking can result in a serious disorder known as obsessive-compulsive disorder. Fear of worse scenarios, such as illness, can cause overthinking to individuals. When one has health problems, the fear of the worst is likely to come to mind from time to time. When this becomes a constant fear in the mind of the victim, then overthinking sets in. However, this can be avoided by putting necessary measures in place. Learning to avoid such thoughts can also save the health of the person from deteriorating due to the impact of overthinking. Dwelling on the what-if element, the what-if element is like the mind of a film director who tests the outcome of one episode in several ways. This could be so much of a situation that was or is beyond the thinker's ability to influence. Getting into overthinking in this state is only a waste of time. Rechanneling these thoughts into issues that the thinker can influence is much more positive. The what-if element is a state that distresses the mind through different evaluations. How to identify the impact of overthinking in people's lives? Dwelling on past misfortunes and being unable to move on. While one is expected to wake up daily and meet the new day with expectation and enthusiasm, others are stuck in the past. This completely affects their social life. Probably the past was full of pain or loss, and holding on to these memories makes these people bitter and unable to trust. Both their social life and work are affected, since the two require the engagement of the brain and the emotions. Worrying over inability until one believes they are incapable. When individuals are affected by overthinking, they cannot be productive enough. This results in emotional torture and can easily convince them that they are useless compared to other individuals. However, their potential is stolen by overthinking, and this becomes a root problem if not resolved. If necessary measures are not taken, these people will not be able to improve in the areas affected. Developing low self-esteem due to comparing self with others, the inability to do what others do easily brings on low self-esteem. This is due to the thought that others are better than you and that you will never measure up to them. The truth, however, is that the ability has been swallowed up by overthinking, which has affected the power of productivity. Low self-esteem has a serious effect on individual lives, since one cannot consider himself productive. Inability to control these thoughts and emotions, normal person will easily discard negative thoughts when they storm their mind. However, when overthinking becomes a mental problem, or is because of another illness controlling the thoughts, the emotions are almost impossible. At this level, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, is advisable. SCBT involves helping the patient change their negative thoughts into positive thoughts. Effects that show in the life of a person suffering from overthinking problem in making decisions. Overthinkers have issues when it comes to making decisions. The mind cannot generate exactly what to do about the situation. In many cases, individuals hardly consider what the solution to the problem could be. For instance, a simple act of choosing a dress for dinner dates can be such a hustle for someone suffering from overthinking. Settling for a choice proves to be so difficult. Ignoring instincts, overthinkers are always extra careful. They tend to want to know the advantages and disadvantages of every choice they make. By doing this, they even ignore their inner voice. Also, they even forget about their schedule and their purpose in life because they normally experience pain and too much reasoning without answers. Constant rumination, this is playing or reviewing scenarios or conversations repeatedly, thinking of what one could have said or done differently. Pondering over different issues without getting a suitable solution influences people to have multiple thoughts. Such victims hardly pay attention to what they are supposed to be doing because they spend all their time focusing on other problems. Evading choice-making, since this exercise proves to be such a hustle to an overthinker, evading the choice-making is simply easier for them. Overthinking is a disorder that victims can hardly mitigate without assistance. Overthinkers can hardly make choices themselves because their thoughts are trapped by specific worries which they can hardly get off their minds. Issing deadlines, the mind of overthinkers wants to do nothing but dwell on the thoughts it has subjected to its captivity. Having to respect deadlines just adds extra pressure to such a mind. The desire to find a solution is the greatest challenge to overthinkers. Instead, most overthinkers fail to meet their deadlines since they cannot help the situation they are experiencing. Repeating the same conversations again, an overthinking mind has a particular thought of pattern with its content limited to what it constantly ruminates on. This is what causes the person to keep repeating the same things even without noticing. In most cases, overthinkers speak about the things that affected them consistently after a short period. At this point, repeating similar conversations demonstrates their level of stress. Unnecessary complexity involves going through too much information to try to make the right decision. This goes in hand with the inability to make a choice. The person thinks that for them to make the right choice, they need to have the information readily available. Similar to a worn-out computer, the human brain can hardly process the right information to solve a problem. Emotional dryness emotions are the areas that overthinking affects. When this person is in the company of others, they tend not to engage their emotions at all. In most cases, victims of overthinking tend to exclude themselves from others because their emotions are drawn by their thoughts. Overthinkers will act differently than their normal selves because of the turmoil running through their minds. Disturbed sleep, the mind keeps constantly thinking and never shuts down even at night. This causes the person to keep turning in bed all night. This is mainly associated with chronic insomnia, where the overthinker's mind stays active all night. Sleepless nights overwork the brain and at times kill the brain cells. Being held back by anxiety, since anxiety is the only relatable emotion in this person's life, it can make the person obey the fears and end up not making important choices or taking important steps. Health professionals argue that overthinkers are uneasy all the time because of the hormones triggered by the brain. A chemical in the brain known as glutamate becomes a neurotoxin, which creates holes in the brain cell wall, which makes the victims uneasy. Types of overthinking complexity. An overthinker, as the name suggests, can go through the information over and over to reach a decision. This makes them consider too many factors without weighing their importance. Overthinkers are not in a position to find a solution to general problems that face them. Too much reasoning to understand or come up with a better solution always affects their decisions. Avoidance. Overthinkers try to avoid something they need to do by excusing themselves. Trying to avoid an issue that causes them to think becomes a difficult task for the victims. For instance, if the issue is a breakup, victims will avoid visiting familiar places to remove the memories from their minds. Neglect intuition is the main source of affirmation, and overthinkers can tend to ignore their intuitions even when they know the truth. Victims tend to ignore reality by wondering or trying to ask themselves questions or trying to find out the issue and the reason it had to occur. Victims remain suspicious the whole time because they choose not to understand what they already know by overthinking. Abstract thinking. This refers to a form of thinking which goes beyond concrete realities. For instance, when you are trying to formulate theories to explain your observations, then you're engaging in abstract thinking. When your business is not performing well, you might jump to the conclusion that it's because of the economy. Cold logic. When using cold logic to think, you tend to avoid relying on human factors, including language, culture, personality, emotion, and social dynamics. The outcome is that you end up making biased decisions that do not consider legal or social realities. Creating problems. You may also find yourself thinking in a way where you are creating problems that are not there in the first place. There are certain situations or things that are not as complex as you think. In ordinary situations, it would have taken you a minute or two to solve them. It is vital to focus more on the bigger picture and not nitpick at the details. Sometimes you should see things as they are. Don't complicate your life by thinking of potential problems. Magnifying the issue usually, as small problems, require simple solutions. There are instances where we amplify these problems and we end up coming up with overly complex solutions to solve them. This is another form of overthinking. You end up wasting your resources to come up with huge solutions that don't match the problems you are experiencing. Fear of failure. Fear of failure is not a new concept to most people, and this is what motivates most of us to work hard. Instead of working hard for a bright future, you find yourself drawing motivation from the fear you have developed inside you. Irrelevant decisions. There are times when we make irrelevant decisions because we force ourselves to make these decisions, yet we are not required to make them. For instance, when thinking about our future, there are instances where we end up making irrelevant decisions based on assumptions. Getting married based on the assumptions you have. You might conclude that you need to get married because you're getting old. Chapter 2. How to identify if you are an overthinker. Signs you could be an overthinker. Below are signs that you could be an overthinker. When you talk fast, person may appear to be nervous when they talk fast without pausing. However, this could be a sign that the person is an overthinker. A lot is usually happening inside an overthinker's mind. A person's mind may wander deep in thoughts, causing them to have a lot to say, even though other people may not follow precisely what that person is talking about. When you find yourself comparing people, sometimes overthinkers shift to a perfectionist mindset, and they start comparing other people and things to imagined standards of perfection. Such measures could come from social media and media in general, where people make out everything to be perfect. You overanalyze everything. If you notice that you overanalyze everything around you, then you are certainly an overthinker. This means that you may try to find a deeper meaning in all the experiences that you go through. When meeting new people, instead of engaging in productive communication, you may focus instead on how other people perceive you. Someone could be giving you a particular look, and you may make several assumptions just based on that look. Overthinking consumes you. You end up wasting a lot of energy trying to figure out and make sense of the world around you. What you don't realize is that not everything has intrinsic meaning. You think too much, but don't act. An overthinker will be affected by something called analysis paralysis. This is a scenario where you think too much about something but don't do anything about it in the end. In this case, you spend a lot of time weighing the options you have at your disposal. At first, you make up your mind on what the best alternative might be. Later, you compare your decision to other possible decisions that you could take. This means that you can't stop thinking about the possibilities and whether or not you made the right decision. You can't let go. Often, we make erroneous decisions that could lead us to fail. When this happens, it can be daunting to let go, more so when you reflect on the sacrifices you have made to get to the point you are at. You might feel that it is painful to let go after you have invested a lot of money on a certain business. You always want to know why. Without a doubt, the notion of asking why can be helpful to solve problems. This is because this probing attitude gets you the answers that you might be looking for. Nonetheless, it can also be damaging when you can't help but always wonder why. Overthinkers maintain such investigative attitude throughout their lives. You analyze people. The way you see other people can also say a lot about you. In most cases, you get lost thinking too much about how other people behave. You may tend to judge everybody that you come across. This one walks in a funny way. That person is not dressed well. You wonder what someone sitting at the park is smiling about. When these thoughts fill your head, you will only drain yourself. Spending too much time focusing on other people will only deter you from using your mind productively. Instead of visualizing your goals and your future, you waste your energy mulling over little things that add no value to you. Regular insomnia. Do you find it hard to sleep sometimes? You may get worked up over the idea that your brain cannot shut down and stop thinking. Sadly, this can paralyze you, since your brain doesn't get the rest that it deserved. Gradually, you will notice a decrease in your productivity. You are unlikely to feel good about yourself, since there is little that you achieve. Worrying too much about not being able to sleep can make you uneasy, and you may find yourself in a state of captivity. You always live in fear. Are you afraid of what the future has in store for you? If you answer yes to this question, then chances are that you're caged in your mind. Living in fear could drive you to resort to drugs and alcohol as your best remedy. You will gain the perception that by taking drugs, it will help you drown your sorrows and help you forget. You're always fatigued. Do you always wake up in the morning feeling tired? This could be a result of stress or depression. Instead of living a productive life, you find yourself waking up late, tired, and unmotivated. This happens because you don't give your mind an opportunity to rest. You don't live in the present. Do you find it difficult to enjoy life? Why do you think you find it daunting to sit back, relax, and be happy with your friends? The mere fact that you can't stay in the present implies that you won't focus on what is happening in the present. Overthinking blinds you from noticing anything good that is currently happening around you. You will often think about the worst that can happen. The issue is that you are trapped in your mind, and there is nothing outside your thoughts that you can constructively think about. You crave for affection, yet don't always get it often. Overthinking is just a ploy to get attention. While this isn't always the case, it might be worth asking yourself if it is just the comfort that you seek. You pay attention to others' assessments, as well. Considering the opinions of others is crucial in understanding your feelings and what you can do about those issues which worry you. An overthinker attempts to locate importance in all things. Indeed, everything is urgent, everything is a life and death struggle, and everything is headed toward a tragic end. Experience the ill effects of sleep deprivation. It is common for overthinkers to lose sleep regularly. While it's normal when you have something important to worry about, the chronic overthinker will experience sleep deprivation issues as a result of their pathological worrying. Overthinkers recollect every word and detail from a discussion. If you find yourself keeping a play-by-play account of your conversations, then there is a very good chance you fall under the category of overthinkers. Overthinkers have trouble relating to others. These folks will find it hard to build lasting relationships, especially if they are bent in seeing the worst of every situation. When your mood constantly changes, overthinking causes hormonal imbalance in people, which is manifested by frequently occurring mood swings. Also, a person may experience anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, addictions, and other mental health issues. When you notice weight variations, overthinking causes stress, which leads to weight variations. It causes loss of appetite and loss of weight. Weight loss can happen over a few days, weeks, or even a few months. That is how the body responds to overthinking habits that increase metabolism. The body uses fuel from the body's fat reserves when metabolism increases. In that way, a person experiences weight loss. When you are anxious and restless, too much thinking leads to anxiety and restlessness, which, if not treated, become worse over time. When a person constantly thinks about finding a job, or feeling nervous before doing a big exam, or being embarrassed in particular social situations, our mind becomes restless, and even causes the person to develop fear. When you lack patience, a person will often feel impatient when they become too much engrossed in their thoughts. They may also become angry, irritated, and intolerant. The body reacts to overthinking by releasing adrenaline or cortisol, which helps the body to respond to a stressful situation. For overthinkers, a stressful situation could be as small as someone else interrupting their thoughts. The overthinker will react in a way that could irritate another person. Things overthinkers do that they never talk about. If you are an overthinker, you limit your chances of becoming successful in life. It will prevent you from reaching your goals and make your life miserable. They apologize excessively when you tell an overthinker that they have wronged you. Before even identifying if the situation is their fault, they start to apologize. This leaves them exposed to additional criticism, which may or may not be warranted. Critical thinking is their thing. Most overthinkers are excellent critical thinkers. This is one of the excellent things about overthinking. An overthinker spends all of their time deliberating and analyzing each decision in an unending manner. Therefore, they often come up with the best results. If sleeping is an issue, an overthinker's brain never stops working. It keeps spinning at maximum speed all day long. This makes them restless, and sleeping becomes impossible. Their minds refuse to shut down, even when their body needs sleep. They worry excessively about making others happy. Overthinkers forget that they should be happy too. They worry about others' happiness, but forgetting they need to be happy. They often negatively exaggerate how the world will view their feelings, actions, thoughts, decisions, and words. This limits their progress and makes accomplishing their personal goals harder. They make decisions that please others instead of themselves. Overthinkers may also be escape artists. To escape their minds, overthinkers might resort to overworking, excessive activity, perfectionism, and other extreme habits to escape from their overthinking. Those with more serious issues may turn to state-altering medications or drugs to take the edge off. They experience severe headaches or migraines. Catastrophic overthinking may cause somatization, such as headaches, stomach aches, etc. Those especially prone to worrying or overthinking may fear that their headache is a symptom of something more serious, which may make their headache even worse. They research their purchases excessively or always need a second opinion when making purchases. Those that overthink may become paralyzed with the overabundance of options that are available to them. They may search online for hours for the best options. They may ask all of their friends' opinions. Their overthinking stems from insecurity. They often overthink because they are unsure of their decisions. This makes it hard for them to decide on what to do. At work, they might have issues choosing clients, projects, or the best course of action to take when problems arise. This lack of confidence can lead them to be doubted by others, even when they end up making the right decisions. They may become overly preoccupied. They may not be able to see the forest for the trees. When they become overly preoccupied, they may miss important dates or appointments. Chapter 3. Cause of overthinking and possible solutions. People think all the time. One does not even have to think about thinking. It just happens. That is because one never stops having words going through their minds even when they is sleeping. Thinking becomes too much. When a person thinks about a particular thing stuck in her head repeatedly, most of the time, the thoughts are usually negative, thus causing a lack of motivation, stress, anxiety, and depression in a person. Reliving past experiences. Person's mind usually picks up on negative experiences from the past because the experiences went contrary to the person's expectations. However, if things went according to plan, then the thoughts become happy memories. Do you still think about how your sister embarrassed you in front of your 5th grade teacher? It is common that when a person thinks about experiences, they not only dwells on the negative aspects, but also continuously experiences them. A person's mind may go back to the time when they posted a sexist comment on Twitter, or when they blew an opportunity, or when they did not pass the job interview. Mulling over present experiences, overthinking about things one can do without doing them, is a waste of time, primarily if fear and worry motivate the person. Has the sun not come out yet? I forgot about it. Did you just run out of cereals? By sun. Did you forget where you left your car keys? Ride the bus. Does she love me? Ask her, is there something wrong with me? When a person overthinks, they misses out on life's precious moments. They does not notice the baby that smiles at him from across the street or the raindrops that fall on his windscreen. Anxiety for the future. Anxiety for the future is called anticipatory anxiety. Anticipatory anxiety is usually draining for people as it can go on for months before an event happens. Bride may think about where her wedding will be, which service providers to contact or who to put on the guest list. While this kind of thinking may help her to put plans into place, the thinking may cause an anxiety attack when it becomes too much. The thoughts people allow in their minds specifically focus on what they think might happen, often with dire predictions about an event. The nature of negative forecasting about the event will be the difference between an anxiety level that is debilitating or a little uncomfortable. Self-introspection. When self-introspection comes from a place of self-gratification, it can turn negative. Habitual, negative, and excessive thinking about oneself brings about depression, anger, frustration, and indifference. When a person thinks about the bad things that happen to him, or about the people who do not like the person, or about all the things they wanted but never received, or about all the things that they has done wrong, that person will ultimately suffer anxiety and depression. Lack of confidence. Lack of confidence is one of the main reasons why people tend to overthink. When you're not sure about what to do, it opens doors for uncertainty. Your mind is filled with fear as a result. It is worth noting that you can never be sure about the decisions that you make. Accordingly, there are times when you will be required to take risks when making important decisions. Taking such risks prevents you from torturing your mind, since you will be acting without spending too much time thinking. Deciding to do something gives you confidence. This will have an impact on how you handle problems in your life. With time, you will develop into more of a decision maker than a thinker. Second, guessing yourself still on the issue of confidence. Doubting yourself is mentally exhausting. Sure, it is understandable that you may make the wrong decisions. No one is perfect, so don't expect that you will always make the right choices. However, constantly being indecisive will rob you of your confidence. The main issue here is that you will frequently stress yourself over anything that requires you to make a choice. To avoid second-guessing yourself, you must trust your abilities. This will be helpful as you will become more self-aware and in turn end up making sound decisions. The exciting thing is that you will avoid the notion of repeatedly asking other people for their opinions before doing anything. You cannot relax. It will be difficult for your mind to stop thinking if you pay too much attention to the problem that you are facing. Your problems will put you in a state of constant tension. The worst thing is that you haven't invested your time in learning how to relax. But for that reason, it will be difficult to eliminate negative thoughts from your mind. Individuals who value the importance of working out or meditating and engaging in yoga exercises can prevent their minds from overthinking. Meditation works to help you connect your mind and body. Therefore, through this self-awareness, you can identify the existence of negative thoughts and learn how to separate yourself from them. You yearn for perfection. Being a perfectionist might be perceived as a good thing at first. However, there is a huge price to pay to live as a perfectionist. Often, you will want everything to fall into place just like you want it. You will never be satisfied with anything that comes up short of what you had anticipated. Therefore, this means that you will always overthink about what needs to be done. Your mind will be in a constant loop of overthinking things, whether they are done in the right way or not. Developing such a habit will only cause detrimental effects to both your mental and physical health. Information overload. If you are not self-confident, you tend to doubt every little thing that you say or do. When you hesitate, even a little, about the things that you want to do, you are letting uncertainty and fear creep into your mind, and it will be very difficult to get them out of there. You can never tell what your decisions will take you. Even if you planned every little detail, the outcome will still not be exactly what you hoped for. This is why you should learn to take risks and not torture yourself when you did not get the results you wished for. When you worry too much, it is only natural to worry when you encounter new and unfamiliar things and events. However, if you worry too much that you cannot even imagine a positive outcome, then it will trigger you to overthink. This is problematic because worry attracts even more problems. Sometimes it creates ones out of thin air, which causes overthinking to go even deeper. Instead of mulling over how things could go wrong, it is better to entertain more positive thoughts, like how much better you would feel if a certain event turns in your favor. When you overthink to protect yourself, some people believe that they can protect themselves from troubles whenever they overthink. But the truth is that overthinking is a trap that kills your progress. Overthinking and not doing anything to change the status quo might seem good, but stifling your progress is never a good thing at all. Also, when you overthink, you are not staying in the same position. You are undoing whatever amount of progress you achieved thus far. You are always chasing after perfection. Being a perfectionist is not necessarily a good thing, and one could argue that being a perfectionist is not good at all. Most people who struggle with perfectionism are constantly anxious. They often wake up in the middle of the night thinking of the things that they could have done better. Being a perfectionist causes overthinking because you are always trying to outdo yourself. For fear, you can never completely curb your anxiety unless you face the fears it is rooted in. You can only feel strong when you master your emotions of fear and apprehensiveness, and this can only be possible if you face your fear. Now that you are aware of how to control your negative thoughts and be mindful of how you feel, consciously make a list of everything that you are afraid of doing. Things such as confronting your feelings to your crush, starting your own business, publishing your book, trying adventure sports, and anything else that you feel is holding you back can go on that list. Finances. Financial stress can affect nearly every area of a person's life. While it is prudent to handle financial stress head-on, it is not wise for one to dwell on thoughts of lack of enough finances. Difficulty in paying one's bills can be stressful, but overthinking closes a person's mind to find possible solutions to the problem. Other financial situations that can cause overthinking include being in considerable debt, losing a job, having medical bills, and irresponsible spending. Household tasks. Household tasks may sound menial, but can be significant sources of overthinking. A person may encounter stressful situations when they have to clean, service the car, pay the bills, cook, shop, and take care of children and pets. However, one should not be too worried about how to get everything in order, because health is more important. One can develop a work plan on how they will go about doing all the household chores. They does not have to do all the tasks in one day. That would be a more balanced and practical approach. Loose ends, unfinished tasks that a person thinks about throughout her day can bring about life friction and stress. The small loose ends can turn into big distractions. That is because they prevent a person from being productive or from doing her work. Person can avoid overthinking by dealing with the loose ends. They can finish the work as soon as possible, set new deadlines, or put the task on hold. Projects' excessive workloads with impossible deadlines can make one feel overwhelmed and under immense pressure to perform. Such situations cause people to think about overachieving continually, which may not be a healthy practice. Concerns about people. Sometimes a person may be concerned about what other people think about him. They should accept that they cannot control other people's thoughts. However, a person may recognize that stress is contagious, and other people's concerns should not drag him down. Areas in life that cause people to overthink. People spend a lot of time thinking through life to accomplish great things. The thoughts lead to inventions and discoveries. However, thinking about both great and small achievements in life can lead to overthinking. Here are some of the areas in life that cause people to overthink. Work. It is natural for one to want her boss to think highly of their work. That can be a good thing when it motivates a person to work better. However, such an aspiration loses meaning when a person always worries about being in their boss's good graces. Similarly, when a person seeks perfection in all the tasks that they do, they may end up second-guessing themselves. As a result, the person overthinks and stresses about how to do things correctly. Additionally, an individual may fall into the trap of comparing themselves to the other workmates. One needs to understand that there will always exist differences between any two people in the workplace. Some people may be more experienced because they have advanced in their careers, while others are just starting. Avoid making comparisons and stick to your lane. Relationships. Overthinking is the cause of many broken relationships. It may also be the reason why a person has difficulty in building strong relationships. When a person overthinks, their mind continually thinks about things and consequently arrives at different conclusions. That causes the person to keep changing their mind, a factor that causes indecision in relationships. Also, people who overthink have encyclopedic memories for things that a person said to them. Therefore, one can easily pick up on a comment other people said to him 6 months ago during a fight. Reopening wounds that are meant to heal does more harm than good to any relationship. Besides, a person who overthinks will need constant reassurance from their partner, and such behavior may be emotionally draining for the partner. Eventually, if the partner does not understand, the relationship could end due to trust issues. Schools provide a suitable environment for people to think academically and get excellent scores in their exams. It is easy for one to become stressed and anxious under the pressure of making significant academic gains. Stress and anxiety are the results of overthinking. Every person in school knows the importance of doing tests, and they do not want to fail. When preparing for an examination, classrooms become crucibles where students exhaust their thoughts to the end. When students overthink, they tend to underperform because their minds are not in a state that facilitates learning. Health. With the increase in health risks among individuals around the world, many people worry about their health. Concern for one's health is a good practice, as it causes a person to avoid habits that could risk their health. However, overthinking becomes toxic when a person thinks that they will fall sick or that something terrible will happen to them. When people go through life-threatening experiences with their health, they tend to become paranoid about the possibility of the event happening again. That is understandable but not excusable. Overthinking also causes hormonal imbalance by breaking down brain chemicals required for feelings of happiness. Also, overthinking can cause one to have high blood pressure, a condition that causes artery damage, dementia, and stroke. Chapter 4. Correlation between worrying and negative thinking. Worries, anxieties, and doubts are normal human emotions. It is natural to worry about a first date, a business meeting, an interview, unpaid bills, and more. Normal worry, however, can become excessive when it is uncontrollable and persistent. Some people tend to worry every day about worst-case scenarios and cannot keep negative thoughts out of their head, which interferes with their daily life. Constant worrying, always expecting the worst outcome, and thinking negatively can take a toll on one's physical and emotional health. It can drain one's positive energy, leaving one feeling jumpy and restless. Excessive worry can also cause muscle tension, insomnia, stomach problems, and headaches, making it difficult to focus on work or school. Sadly, some people who suffer from chronic worrying tend to take out their negative feelings on those closest to them, or try to distract themselves by watching too much television, or self-medicate with drugs and poor alcohol. This problem can also be a symptom of generalized anxiety disorder, which involves a general feeling of unease, nervousness, and tension that colors one's whole life. People plagued by chronic worrying can do several things to switch off their negative thoughts. Essentially, they can break this mental habit and train themselves to stay calm and look at life from a less fearful and more balanced perspective. But for most chronic worriers, negative thinking stems from their beliefs, both positive and negative, about worrying. Why people worry? People with this problem often worry because they think something bad could or will happen. By doing so, they trigger a hypersensitive worry strategy based on the belief that their worrying will prevent bad things from happening or provide solutions to perceived or predicted problems. Essentially, they think that things will get out of hand if they prevent themselves from worrying. In other words, according to them, if one can imagine a negative situation, it is one's responsibility to worry about it to find a preemptive solution. Unfortunately, this can hurt their mental and physical health, which is why chronic worriers tend to be one of the largest burdens on healthcare systems. How to prevent yourself from worrying? Excessive or chronic worrying can prevent people from leading a productive life. Worry and anxiety tend to dominate their thoughts, which distract them from their home, work, or school life. Some people suggest it is worth permitting oneself to worry for a short time, but putting off dwelling on it until much later. To do this, they recommend the following. Identify and embrace uncertainty. Having analyzed one's unfounded worries, one should identify what one needs to accept and move on. This might mean accepting one's limitations or accepting a certain level of uncertainty. For example, people worried about getting cancer should accept that it is a possibility, as no one knows what will happen in the future. Cry out loud. The amygdala, which is the emotional part of the human brain, experiences a sort of suppression when people worry. Afterward, this emotion storms in and comes with symptoms such as an increased heart rate, fatigue, and gastrointestinal problems. To share one's worries in addition to crying aloud, which is a cognitive therapy technique, people should talk about their worries to a therapist or a loved one. This will make them worry less, as it will help them get to the root cause of their worries. In most cases, cognitive behavior therapy and talk therapy can work together to deliver amazing results. How to stop negative thoughts? Speaking to the negative thought. When negative thoughts pop up, have awareness of them. For example, when one is feeling stressed, disappointed, hungry, tired, or something else. Ignoring these thoughts does not make them go away, but they rather tend to latch onto one's mind. To spend time with positive people. People plagued by negative thoughts tend to gravitate towards like-minded people. The fastest way to catch a cold is to spend time with someone with a cold. Therefore, people who frequently experience negative thoughts will worsen their situation by spending time with negative people. Understand that no one and nothing is perfect. Expecting perfection in everything can be debilitating and prevent one from finding contentment and happiness. Therefore, you should understand that no one is perfect and base one's success in reality. Have an active mindset. There is no substitution for having a healthy and active mindset, apart from practicing what works. Based on their experience dealing with different kinds of people, psychologists understand that everyone is different. However, one thing stands true: there is no standard practice to treat or prevent negative thinking. Positive morning routine. Sometimes, to counter negative thinking, one might need to start controlling one's thinking early in the morning. When people control their thinking, they tend to gain the ability to control their lives. Negative thinking tends to slow down people. Leaders should take their thoughts captive and replace negative thoughts with belief and hope. To slow everything down and breathe to overcome negative thinking, people need to learn how to identify or recognize their unhealthy thoughts. Breathe deeply and slow things down. A good way to do this is to incorporate literal time blocks, reminders, or alarms into one's schedule. Essentially, breathing will help one stay more at ease. In addition to helping one maintain self-awareness, intentionally assume a positive attitude. Contrary to what many people believe, you can assume a positive attitude as soon as you wake up in the morning. To do this, one needs to be aware of when negative thoughts start to dominate one's mind. People can choose their focus and attitude. Therefore, they should try to let go of things that do not serve their goals and well-being. Focus on the possibility of a positive outcome in spite of one's current situation at home, at work, or anywhere else. There will always be instances where negative thoughts will intrude into one's mind. When this happens, focus on where one is heading and why you should get there. Essentially, life is about one's goals, but not the negative parts or aspects of meeting one's objective. Identify the root cause. Negative thinking, for most people, stems from issues hiding below the surface. Essentially, they stem from the root. Anyway, most people have ingrained negative thought patterns. They need to discover the roots of such thought patterns and find ways of preventing them. Only then will they be able to face their problems. Make a conscious choice. It is difficult to deal with negative thinking patterns unless one understands what they are. Therefore, you should identify one's negative thoughts and things that trigger such thoughts. Essentially, one needs to be self-aware to identify negative thoughts and shift one's way of thinking and perspective at the moment. Chapter 5. What is overthinking disorder? Overthinking is normally associated with psychological issues such as anxiety and depression. Health professionals claim that overthinking will usually result in mental issues, since it drives human instincts to a pool of unconstructive thoughts and creates non-existent issues. Human beings cannot change what occurred in the past or what could happen in the future. Therefore, people need to learn the art of controlling thoughts as well as emotions. Overthinking can be a disorder if an individual keep on overthinking too much because it stresses them. Individuals with panic disorder always undergo negative thinking, with most having self-defeating beliefs. This is often the case when one is experiencing panic attacks, when their inner voice amplifies their fears as well as anxiety. For instance, when panic takes hold, one might believe they could stop breathing or become crazy. This causes a victim to experience irrational thoughts. Individuals experiencing panic disorder imagine the worst that could happen in their future. For instance, individuals afraid of flying in a plane might think about the turbulence and feel afraid. They also experience agoraphobia, and this may prevent them from leaving their homes. The main issue with forecasting is that it feeds the victim with anxiety, causing them to feel extremely afraid. Anxiety, as well as panic, results in self-defeat. Self-defeat makes people lose focus and consider their weaknesses and failures rather than solutions. People experiencing self-defeat feel overwhelmed as well as full of panic throughout their lives. These destructive thoughts add to their feelings of helplessness and make panic disorder seem even more overwhelming. If you worry about your friends, your job, your family, your boyfriend and girlfriend, your life and anything else, you believe that you do not have overthinking condition. No matter what you are thinking about, perhaps concerns you for a moment, then a short period, you continue with other parts of your life. Yes, you return wondering every so often. However, you do not continuously wonder, and you do not find it getting in the way with the rest of your life with this kind of mental condition. However, the trouble is all that you can think of. Even if you may not be troubled on the same thing regularly and repeatedly, you always worried about something. No two individuals will suffer from this kind of mental issue in the same way, but people who do suffer overthinking will find that their daily living and lifestyle is at stake. This is due to their lack of capability of efficiently and successfully controlling negative thoughts as well as emotion. Thus, they find it hard to hang out and socialize. They also find it hard to enjoy their sidelines and hobbies. They are not helpful and not creative at work. All these happen since their mind spends an inconsistent amount of energy and time on particular lines of thoughts. There is a feeling that they do not have complete power over their emotions or minds that can be extremely destructive to mental well-being. Making friends, meeting up with someone as well as keeping friends, is hard with this mental condition, as you resist interacting with them. You will experience difficulty in talking to the people that surround you. This happens because you are too much trouble with the things you do or say. You are also too much concerned about what will happen or how you will do it. If you, your friends, or any member of the family experience this mental disorder, might struggle to make general conversation with others. It will also be hard to interrelate in a typical setting. You might find it so hard to go out to the department store or to your appointment, which affects your whole life in general. The reality is that this mental condition can affect almost all aspects of your life. This can also change the way you communicate with others and the way you perform. What is more, it can also affect your personal life, social life, work life, and your love life. It can ruin your relationship with your partner and people surround you and your entire life in general. Overthinking is a tough condition. It can create problems in your life. Overthinking is a chaos which can happen to anyone and at any time. If you have anxiety or any form of anxiety disorder, it can become overthinking chaos too. The worry and the anxiety that you have on diverse life conditions can become overthinking quickly. You must think about what you must carry on, or how you stop bad things from taking place. The reality is that you are not able to stop horrific and terrible things from taking place. Also, you are not able to stop yourself from each bad decision. The best thing to do is to ask assistance from friends, family members, and professionals. Do you worry too much, even on simple things? Are you an extreme worrier? Maybe you automatically think that when you worry enough, you can avoid bad things from taking place. However, the reality is that worrying and wondering can affect your system in so many ways which might astound you. If you think too much about everything, or if you have excessive worrying, it can result in feelings of high stress and even lead to a serious health condition. Chapter 6. The relationship between overthinking, anxiety, stress, and negative thinking. It is fascinating to learn that our thoughts define what happens to us. But from a psychological perspective, it means that we can control what happens to us by simply learning how to control our thoughts. This is a powerful technique indeed. Knowing that you have power over what happens to you is something that most people are unaware of. The reality is that you become what you think. If you look closely, whatever happens to you, good or bad, stems from your thoughts. What you think about affects your mental health and well-being. Your thoughts lead to the emotional state that you might be experiencing. Often this will affect your health. If your thoughts are preoccupied with sad events, then chances are that you will constantly feel sad. If you are constantly thinking about the fun activities that you engage in with your friends, then you attract the same energy to your life. This section takes a comprehensive look at how negative thinking is linked to anxiety and stress. Well, from this, you will garner deeper insight into why your thoughts could be identified as the cause for your dwindling productivity at work, lack of sleep, and your failing social relationships. Your thoughts and feelings will work together to build an ideal future for yourself. Since you have the power to decide what you want, you ought to request a life that you've always dreamt of living. Your focus and energy should be in line with what you want to attract. After understanding the fact that you are the creator of your world, you should begin thinking consciously towards creating a better life for yourself. In this case, this should encourage you to think positively, since your thoughts define what you want in life. This requires that you channel your time and energy on thinking about the good things you want in life. It also means that you should deliberately manage your thoughts and emotions, as they have an impact on what manifests. Anxiety. Stopping negative thoughts. Anxiety is caused by numerous factors. At times, it is caused by a combination of genetic factors and environmental factors. The fear within you can easily make you feel worried about things that haven't happened. In extreme cases, this leads to panic. Your mind can easily amplify the fears within you and make you believe that something bad will happen. In social settings, anxiety will leave you in a constant state of worry of saying the wrong thing in front of other people. Also, you might gain the assumption that other people will not like you. Such negative thoughts only prevent you from being yourself. It holds you back from living your life. Stress. You could end up developing a fear of lose your job. Indeed, this will stress you out a lot. In some cases, stress harms the quality of your sleep. This worsens your situation, as anxiety tends to worsen when you don't have enough sleep. Negative thinking will often lead to stress. When you constantly dwell on negative self-talk, this is what your subconscious mind will focus on. Instead of ruminating on how bad things follow you, it is vital to realize that such thoughts can hurt your emotional well-being. Stress and negative self-talk is the inner voice that talks to you. Depending on how you use self-talk, it becomes a make or break situation. Positive self-talk will remind you of the great things that you can achieve. It will help you approach life with optimism. Negative self-talk, on the other hand, will attract negative energy. You will pay too much attention to the possibility of all the bad things that could happen to you. Negative self-talk will not help you overcome the stress that you might be going through. It worsens the situation as you will feel more stressed. Overthinking can affect your life in many ways. Whether you are feeling anxious, stressed, or unmotivated, all these can be attributed to how you think. And from what has been discussed, your thoughts define who you are. Thinking positively can attract good things to you. The law of attraction will always apply to your thoughts and emotions. It is through these thoughts that you create the world that you want. Negative thinking breeds negativity in your life. It will affect your relationships, work, life, and your productivity in varying aspects. Instead of worrying about the future, you should use your energy to focus more on what you can do today for a better tomorrow. Frankly, your actions determine your future. Hence, thinking alone is just not enough. You need to act. Chapter 7. Coping with Worrying. Do you always have to deal constantly with worries and anxiety? Here are some useful tips to help ease your anxiety and calm your troubled mind. How much is too much worry? It is very normal to experience worries, anxiety, and doubts in daily life. It is our reaction to it which makes the greatest difference in our lives. It's very natural to get worked up about a first date, an upcoming interview, or an unpaid bill. Becoming frequently worried becomes overwhelming when it is uncontrollable and persistent. If every day you become worked up by picture all of the negative things that might happen to you, you are letting anxious thoughts interfere with your life and well-being. Negative thoughts, incessant worrying, and constantly expecting poor outcomes will harm your physical and emotional well-being. It gradually weakens you emotionally, taking your strength and leaving you restless and nervous, with headaches, insomnia, muscle tension, and stomach problems. The effect of this on your personal life, your concentration at school and work, cannot be overemphasized. For some people, it's easier to take out their frustration on your loved ones and people closest to them, take alcohol or drugs, or try to distract themselves by tuning out from everything. Chronic anxiety and worry is a sign of generalized anxiety disorder, GADAD, a disorder that causes restlessness, nervousness, and tension, together with a feeling of unease, which can take over your life. If you feel burdened by tension and worries, you can take a few steps to take your mind off anxious thoughts. Over time, worrying constantly becomes a problem. It becomes a mental habit when prolonged and is very difficult to break. Train your brain to be calm and think only positive thoughts, and change your outlook on life to a more relaxed and confident perspective. Why is it so hard to quit worrying? Worrying constantly does nothing but affect your life negatively. It keeps you up at bedtime and makes you edgy and tense in the daytime. You may detest the feeling of being nervous and confused, but it's very difficult to stop worrying. Beliefs about worrying, either positive or negative, may fuel this nervousness further and may cause additional anxious thoughts in chronic worriers. How to quit worrying? Choose a short period each day to worry. It can be quite difficult to be productive when your thoughts are consumed by worry and anxiety, distracting your attention from school, work, or your family. In this case, the strategy of putting off worrying can do a lot of good. Instead of getting rid of these thoughts, grant yourself permission to have these thoughts later on in your day. Dedicate a period for worry each day. Set up a time and place to think of things that bother you. It should be at the same time every day, from 6 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. in the bedroom, for example, choosing a time frame that won't affect your bedtime and/or create additional anxiety in your life. During this period, you can worry about whatever you want. The rest of the day should be classified as worry-free. Put down your worries in writing. When you find yourself thinking anxious or worrying thoughts, simply note them briefly and continue with your daily activities. Always remind yourself that there's time for you to think about it later. There is no need to get worked up about them now. Take a look at your worry list during your scheduled worry period. If your thoughts still bother you, let yourself think about those things, but only for your specified worry period. You'll notice that as you examine your worries in this manner, it's easier to establish a more balanced outlook to worrying. If, at this point, your worries don't seem as important as they used to, simply reduce the length of your worry period and enjoy your day to the fullest. Differentiate the solvable worries from the unsolvable worries. While you think about the problem in your head, you're distracted from your emotions for a while and feel like you're solving a problem. In reality, getting worried and problem-solving are two different things altogether. By problem-solving, you are examining a situation, thinking of solid ways to deal with it, and putting these plans into action. On the other hand, worrying seldom leads to any solutions. The more time that you spend thinking of worst-case scenarios, the less prepared that you are to handle them if they happen. That's the simple truth. Interrupt the worry cycle. Just writing down your worries can provide you with some relief. If you then also write down different solutions, you will see your fears in a different light. You will adopt the observer perspective and will be able to think more logically about what you can do. Meditation helps to alleviate daily worries by shifting our attention. We focus only on the here and now and can leave the concerns of the past or future behind. Similarly, meditation can also help us observe ourselves and understand our negative thought patterns. We only need to find a comfortable, quiet place and focus carefully on our breathing. Various studies have shown that meditating not only helps to ease worries, but can also reduce stress and anxiety. Practice progressive muscle relaxation sports and exercise also promote relaxation and sleep. They also help to distract us from our everyday worries and promote our self-esteem and well-being. This confidence will make it easier for us to address our worries head-on. Also, researchers claim that exercise can reduce not only anxiety, but also improve our emotional well-being and energy. Many scientists believe that physical activity can significantly reduce depression. Talk about your worries. One way to worry less is to talk to our closest friends about what is bothering us. When we are worried, our friends can help us to alleviate our fears and see things from a different perspective. They can help us to look at the problem from the outside. Then, we can often find a solution or come to realize that it's not as bad a problem as we feared. When they listen without judgment or criticism and pay attention to what we say, their empathy can help us to feel calmer and more relaxed. Having someone listen to us with empathy is essential to make us feel better. Even professional help is very beneficial in some cases if you cannot find a way out yourself. Practice mindfulness. So as people think of mindfulness as sitting quietly with their eyes closed, breathing deeply in a meditative state. However, meditation is just one example of mindfulness. Mindfulness is an exercise that does not isolate you from your current environment, but makes you more aware of the situation where you find yourself. It is the practice of unbiased awareness. Mindfulness is the experience of being in the present. You accept things as they are, without judging whether they are positive or negative, or how they should be. If you are mindful, with all of your 5 senses, you are open to the world as it is, without distraction and reflection on the past, or fears about the future. Being mindful means experiencing the present with a beginner's spirit, as if you were experiencing it for the first time. Acknowledge and observe your worries. Instead of trying to get over your fears, watch your thoughts like a stranger without passing judgment. Stay focused on the present moment. Avoid getting lost in your thoughts, and concentrate on the feelings and thoughts that cross through your mind. And if you get lost in your thoughts, bring your attention back to your current environment. Chapter 8. How to adopt a better thinking pattern. Before you can undergo the great transformation, you first of all need to change the way you think. This is the most essential factor in the process of personal transformation. The essence of your thoughts can either significantly help or hinder you. Why is that? Thoughts and ideas are the code that governs behavior and thus decides outcomes. Proper and positive thoughts lead to better practice and better results in your life. Use your time. Better time is an essential resource. Not to mention, the time given to us is limited. It is therefore indispensable for you to spend your time wisely. In your process of transformation, you want to make sure that you spend your time well by investing it in things that are good for you. Both benefits can be short or long-term. It is very wasteful to spend valuable time on tasks that produce no returns. You have to use your time better to live a better life, because time spent well is happiness well received. Making better use of resources is just as critical as time. The way you use your resources has a great deal to do with your level of life efficiency. If your energy chases shadows, then you can only assume that your daily energy expenditure will not reflect anything. If you use your resources to do trivial things in the same breath, then it is fair for you to get insignificant returns. The same goes for the other end of the spectrum. Those who spend their energy on dignified values will experience a fruitful performance in their lives. It is therefore critical that you make more use of your resources in worthwhile things and endeavors. Create a better self-image. Better self-image is a crucial part of your development. Low self-image is by far widespread and affects 3 in 5 people due to the low self-image. Most people change shortly and talk far less than they do. You can only get the new you with a better self-image. It's all in mind, and it must be imagined before a good one becomes a reality. However, the past failures of people can stick to them, and thus stop them from imagining a better self. In this respect, do everything you can always to see yourself differently. Practice better everyday habits. Habits are things you do without thought every day. These behaviors are the unwanted acts you conduct over a long time. Unfortunately, most people have reactions that have no benefits for them. Alternatively, these practices waste time, resources, and sabotage on the fruitless loop. Practicing better habits leads you to a fulfilled life. It is therefore in your best interest to take stock of all of your behaviors, analyze them all, and then substitute unproductive habits with beneficial ones. Organize and plan better. The process of organizing and preparing must become a routine to improve yourself. Planning is very important because it eliminates targetlessness. At the same time, management, because the likelihood of disorder is increasing, is outstanding. With a clearer sense of direction from the project and greater clarity from the company, you will achieve a lot more in your life and reduce stress as well. Build better communication skills. Becoming a better communicator will transform your life. This is because much of what we do as human beings affects others. A failure to communicate effectively simply means you are mistaken, taken seriously, neglected, and even resentful. Once you improve your communication skills, several doors will be opened before you, and people you have never been able to reach before will be met. The ability to reach others is very significant because it can help you improve your lives due to the positive impression you have on others. Handling finances better. Money is an important part of your life, and it will certainly lead to better results. How well we treat cash is important for our future. If you are poor and in a corrupted condition, you waste the money you are making. It is therefore very critical that you control your money in a way that retains, invests, and increases your potential earnings. Your well-being depends on how well you sleep. Sleep well. If you don't have a regular routine of sleep, you should probably expect always to be frustrated, exhausted, and confused. Much is at stake if these signs are very normal in your life. You all affect friendships, performance, and emotions. Better sleep can bring you strength, cell damage throughout the body can be restored, and body functions and hormones regulated. Responding to stress better. It is also closely connected with how you cope with stress. No matter what we do in life, inevitably, the pressure will arise. Believe me, there's nothing like a life completely stress-free. Since pressure is inevitable, you should know how to handle it safely and cleverly. It is counterproductive to do what a stressful situation demands. It is always easier to do the opposite, or to think clearly, before you customarily impulsively or explosively react to pressure. You can experience a lot of change in your life if you do one of these things, a few or everything. Note your great destiny is waiting for you. Don't allow fear and restraint to undermine your life's fulfillment. Chapter 9. Practical tips to prevent yourself from overthinking. To help you attain a positive outlook on life, recognize that you are worried. Any people refuse to recognize their worry. They want to appear healthy, and by not admitting that they are anxious, they sink deeper into their stress. Identify the fear behind this stress: fear of not being up to scratch, afraid of others' eyes, fear of illness, fear of being alone, a fear of not having enough money, a fear of being judged, abandoned, rejected, afraid of being humiliated, a fear that we make fun of you, afraid to assert themselves, etc. Master your thoughts. Be positive. Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. If you only think about illness, do not be surprised if you develop one. When you spend your time in perpetual fear of running out of money, Do not be surprised to be continuously forced to count your pennies. If you are afraid of being fired, do not be surprised if your boss dismisses you. Find a passion, learn computer science, gardening, astrology, knitting, or photography. Develop a passion for something or volunteer. Do humanitarian work. Seeing the concerns of others will often put yours into perspective. Occupy your mind with something that you feel passionate about. Have you noticed how quickly time passes when we are in love? Passion occupies us, and we only think of him or her. Discover what you feel passionate about and do it. You will have much less time to devote to worrying. Get in the habit of taking less time to think. Accept the fact that you sometimes think too much and for too long before acting. Once you catch yourself doing it, it will be much easier to curb the urge to overthink. You can break this habit by giving yourself a deadline to stop thinking about something and take the appropriate action. The longer you overthink, the more incredible opportunities that you will miss. A fear, especially the fear of failure, can prevent you from doing extraordinary things that can sometimes even change your life. A failure can sometimes be valuable because it teaches us more about what we don't want. Through failure, we can learn more about ourselves and the world around us. It's simple. The more you will fail in life, the more you will learn, and you will never make the same mistakes as in the past. You will be a person who has gained a lot of experience, and this experience will help you to succeed in the future. Once we perceive ourselves as having less to lose by failing, some of the pressure that we tend to put on ourselves will lessen. But believe in yourself. You can accomplish many more things than you think. Find an activity for occupying your mind. Come on. It's time to get busy. Why? When you are occupied, you become so focused on the present moment and what you are doing that you are completely in control of your thought. Take a walk or play sports. It will not only help you to reconnect with yourself, but it will help you stop overthinking. Exercise can provide a welcome distraction from what bills you have to pay or any other problems in your life. You can also meditate to forget your worries. Living in the present moment is the best way to free yourself from your thoughts. You can also listen to a movie, read a book, dance, play outside, or go for a drink with a friend. These are other ways to occupy your mind. Get informed. Feeling as if you have all the information that you need is essential to stop overthinking, and this information will make you more and more confident in your decisions. This confidence and information will also help to empower you to act more quickly. Write the thoughts out of your head. Try journaling every night before going to bed. Write everything out of your head so that you do not have to hold on to it anymore. If you come up with ideas more often when you fall asleep, put a notepad on the night table next to your bed and write down the ideas immediately so that you can continue to sleep in peace. Afterward, complete your to-do list the day before. At the end of each day, write down your to-do list for the next day. This will help to keep you focused during stressful times and prevent thoughts and worries about work from disturbing you during the night. Of your body sports or exercise help to interrupt your thought carousel. When your thoughts overwhelm you during the day, put on music and dance around the room or do some sports. If you have problems, especially when falling asleep, a walk before bedtime helps. Although strenuous exercise should be avoided because it keeps your body awake, a spin to win at times. Merely spinning a few words here and there can give a more positive twist to your self-talk. A small shift in semantics can impact your subconscious mind to change the perspective in a huge way. Our thoughts and speech patterns are so negative on a subconscious level that we don't even realize when we are slipping into the negative talk mode. It happens almost involuntarily and has a damning effect on the psyche. We are so self-deprecating that even when someone compliments us, we deny it with a, "No, that's not true," rather than graciously accepting it. Every time you feel miserable about having to go work, think about how you get to work and feed your family. You'll automatically experience a greater sense of positivity and reduced stress levels. Your thoughts will feel more cleansed and refreshed. Avoid playing the victim. Are you one of those people whose mind is always filled with voices about how circumstances are never in your favor or how you have been wronged? Do you often act like things are not in your control, or that you are being picked on by everyone? Avoid playing the victim by blaming external factors. Learn to accept responsibility for your acts. You are holding the steering wheel of your life, if it makes sense. You are in a position to control everything that is happening to you. When you can't control something in your life, you still have the power to control your reaction to it. You can either focus on the problem and be a victim, or find a solution to break the pattern. The choice to be a part of either the problem or solution lies with you, which determines your reaction. It is pointless to keep slipping into a victim's mindset. Rather, condition your thoughts to take control of your actions and reactions. Avoid personalizing. You are working with a coworker on a project when they ask to be shifted to another project to adjust their hours according to their family's requirements. Don't automatically personalize the situation and think they doesn't want to work with you. We all have the inbuilt bug of personalizing things when they are not personal. If someone doesn't take your call or reply to a message because they are probably driving or at work, we invariably assume they are trying to avoid us or dislike us. Get out of the tendency to take the onus of everything seemingly unfortunate happening in your life on you. Personalizing and thinking everything in terms of a catastrophe is the ultimate spokes in the wheel of positive thinking. Get rid of prejudices. Low self-talk is essentially a result of a low sense of self-worth or reduced self-esteem, which again originates from self-prejudices. Sometimes what we believe to be real is only a consequence of distortion and prejudice. Gain an objective overview of your accomplishments, abilities, and skills. How would they appear to someone else? Do you use the same parameters to judge yourself that you use to judge others? Embrace imperfections. This isn't to say that when you work upon a weakness, you should simply become lazy and live with it. Embracing your imperfections is accepting what you can't change about yourself and experiencing a sense of liberation felt thereafter. Don't create unrealistic goals for yourself. While you can aim for a healthy and fit body, you aren't going to look like the perfectly toned model on the cover of a magazine. Avoid having sky-high expectations of yourself. Give your inner critics a name. Give your inner critic the silliest name you can think of. It will be challenging to take a voice that is called the Badger seriously. Calling your inner critic something goofy gives it a touch of light-heartedness. This helps you break an essentially emotional hold that stress or anxiety wields over you. Over a period, these brief disconnecting circuits destroy the entire cycle of stress and anxiety. Become the observer of your thoughts. The problem with pondering and thinking is that we are entirely absorbed by our thoughts. We become emotional, tense, anxious, angry, etc. Unfortunately, switching off our thoughts does not work. But we can learn to become the passive observer of our thoughts. Then let the thoughts happen, but do not pursue them. Think about what went well during your day. When we remember the best and most positive events of our day, we allow the mind and body to relax. Just think about what went well during your day and was beautiful or enjoyable. You can also imagine dream scenarios, such as a beautiful, enchanted garden or a peaceful island in the Pacific. Use relaxation methods. All forms of mindfulness, meditation, and relaxation methods help. Much of it you can also teach yourself. You can learn online how to meditate correctly. Autogenic training, yoga, or progressive muscle relaxation may also help you to fall asleep. Use a thought stopping method. If the thoughts turn up again, stop and clap your hands loudly. You can also tell yourself, now is not the time. I'll deal with you again tomorrow. Since many thoughts are very persistent, you'll probably have to repeat that a few times. Eliminate the root of the problem. If you are currently being burdened with a particular issue that you keep thinking about, take the time to deal with it. Write it down. What could the solution look like? Who or what can support me? Where can I inform myself about possible solutions? What do I need to make this situation turn out better? Eliminate causes of agitation. Behind the permanent tension we feel are often unprocessed fears, worries, crises, and hardships. We cannot calm down because we are overburdened professionally or privately, have too much stress, or get emotionally stuck. Chapter 10. Ways to attract good energy. Positive energy can improve how we feel and communicate with the people around us. In our daily dealings with other people, we receive the kind of energy we send out. This energy is usually within our entire body, the spirit and mind, and when it vibrates out, it's usually felt by others around us. The way we feel about the people around us is a result of the kind of energy we carry around and the energy that we pick up on from them. We may feel free and cheerful being around some people and feel awkward and cold when we're around other people. Maintaining positive energy will improve our total well-being and help us to communicate more positively with people. On the other hand, negative energy negatively affects our entire well-being due to the feelings of resentment, discord, and unhappiness that accompany it. Your ultimate goal should be to resist negative energy and embrace positive energy. You can achieve this by increasing your energy level and surrounding yourself with positivity. Here are 9 daily ways to help you boost your inner vibration and help you to feel the energy flow around you. Pay attention to the energy you release. If you're releasing lots of negative energy, there's no way you'll attract positive energy. How others feel when they are with you tells a lot about the kind of energy you discharge. Do people feel calm and happy or gloomy and sad when they're with you? Your answer to this will help you know if you have to work on boosting your energy or not. Negative energy will always impact your relationships negatively, and your attitude towards others is a reflection of who you are. Ask yourself, what kind of impression do I make on people? If you're the type that always reaches out to people and creates great relationships, you may be releasing positive energy. If you're the type that people avoid, you may be releasing negative energy. Therefore, you must focus on emitting positive energy. Change the way you think. If you spend most of your time thinking about negativity, you'll become a pessimist in no time. But if you spend most of your time thinking about the positive aspects of your life, no matter how hard that can sometimes be, you'll easily attract good things. Always ensure that the positive thoughts guide you in all you do. Discard negative influences. Quit surrounding yourself with negative people, things, or places will take away your happiness and total well-being. Some people are toxic, and you should be far away from them. These are people that always try to discourage you from everything that you do and look for every means to constantly bring you down. If you're not observant enough, you may begin to pick up bad habits from these toxic places, people, or things. Increase your circle as you discard negative influences. Increase your circle of positive influences. Surround yourself with people of like minds that can influence you positively and inspire you to be the best you can be. Ensure that you hold these relationships in high esteem and nurture them. These people should be able to be honest and authentic with you, but it shouldn't be done to spite you or make you feel less sure of yourself. The positive energy that radiates from this group will help you live a happier life. Be kind and compassionate. Some little acts of kindness can have a significant impact on the receiver and the giver. Being kind and compassionate towards others has been proven to attract lots of positivity and good relationships. The more you give and show compassion to others, the better your physical and mental well-being will be. Being kind is also a great way to motivate the people around you and inspire them to be kind to others. Smiling to people around you, serving someone a cup of tea, or doing anything that makes people around you happy sends loads of positive energy to you, and this boosts your inner happiness. Be grateful. If you dwell too much on negative thoughts, you'll find it hard to see the things you ought to be grateful for. Devote most of your quiet time to thinking about the little things in your life and be thankful for them. Doing this will help you let go of harmful and toxic emotions. Think of the good things and people in your life and why you are grateful for them. Doing this for a few minutes every day will help you a great deal. If you can't think of any right now, you can begin by keeping a gratitude journal and jotting down a list of things that make you happy and feel contented. Being grateful will help you reflect on the bad times you've had and how you overcame them all. Discover your inner strength, taking your focus away from all the negative thinking that may erode your confidence level and cause feelings of insecurity and self-doubt, and shifting to positive thinking that boosts your self-esteem and confidence is essential to developing inner strength. Inner strength is what will make you resilient in the face of stressful situations and help boost your energy level so that you can handle whatever comes your way. Align your current self with your future self. The things you spend your time and money on will determine how far you'll go in life. These choices you make today will shape your life tomorrow. Ask yourself, what do I desire most in the world? Or work towards being the person that your future self will be proud of by building healthy relationships and a healthy lifestyle. Develop a picture in your mind of who you would like to be in the future and start taking steps to make it a reality. Doing this will help you exert more control over your life, and the more positive actions you take, the more positive the reality you will create for your future self. Act in good faith. There's a general belief in business that both parties act in good faith as they work together. We all benefit from treating one another fairly, but only a few people understand that this principle should be followed as we interact daily, personally or professionally. Endeavor to be nice to everyone you meet and treat them with respect, and in most cases, you'll receive the same gesture. Even if someone wrongs to you, avoid retaliation as it won't make you feel better. They may be having a bad day and react negatively to you for this reason. When you act nicely to everyone, even when they react harshly to you, you can be sure to attract positive energy, and this will help a lot. Chapter 11. Habits to help prevent you from falling into the trap of overthinking. Here are practices to help you stop overthinking. Become aware of your inclination to overthinking before one can address or cope with a habit of overthinking. They need to be aware of when they are doing so. They will become aware of it when they pick up on the signs. Even a person's lips signal the person when they are buried in thoughts, because the lips will tend to feel dry. Any time when a person finds themselves doubting or feeling stressed or anxious, they can step back and look at the situation and how they are responding to it. Think of what can go right instead of what can go wrong. What? Is it good to prepare yourself for anything by imagining the worst-case scenarios? That may work in the movies, but it is not a philosophy for a meaningful life. In most cases, emotions of fear bring about overthinking. When a person focuses on all the things that could go wrong, they may become paralyzed in their thinking. As soon as a person senses that they is going down an overthinking spiral, they need to stop. Instead, they can visualize all the things that can go right and maintain that pattern of thinking. Dive into pleasure and happiness. Sometimes it is helpful for a person to have a way to distract themselves with happy, positive, and healthy alternatives. Any experience that can bring happy thoughts is worth spending time on. Activities like meditation, dancing, exercise, how to play a musical instrument, drawing, painting, and knitting can distract a person from overthinking. Similarly, a person can opt to go on nature walks, take a swim, create a new recipe, bake, eat out with friends, or watch a movie. A person can find happiness in the simplest pleasures. Just be happy and you can live to 100. Stop expecting or waiting for perfection. For overthinkers who are waiting to see perfection in the world around them, they should stop doing so. Every person has their idea of what perfection looks like. Therefore, perfection will never be a blueprint for anyone or anything. Being ambitious is a great thing, but aiming for perfection is impractical, incapacitating, and unrealistic. That is because it simply does not exist in the real world. The moment a person starts to think that certain things need to be perfect, that is the moment they should remind themselves that waiting for perfection is not as constructive as making progress. Change how you view fear. Often a person is afraid because they have failed in the past, or they are fearful of trying, or is overanalyzing some other failure. If anything, failure is not a stop sign. Instead, it is merely a way of telling someone to look to the other side. In such cases, a person needs to remind themselves that just because things did not work the first time, it does not mean that things will not work a second time. Persons should remember that each opportunity is a different chance to have a new beginning. Put things into perspective. It is always easy for one to make issues more significant and more harmful than necessary. Just because your workmate did not say hello to you when you greeted them in the morning does not mean that they are mad at you or are putting you off. Maybe if you looked at your colleague more intently, you would notice that they were wearing their earphones. The next time a person catches themselves making a mountain out of a molehill, they should ask themselves whether the issue will matter in 5 years or a week. Realize that you cannot predict the future. No one can. Therefore, all the time a person has is the present time. Sometimes people become bent on living their present time in view of their future. The truth is, no one can predict how things will happen in the next hour, let alone in the future. People can have ideas, but no one can know for sure. When a person spends her present time worrying about the future, they are robbing themselves of the present time. Spending time thinking of one's future is not productive. Instead, they should spend that time on things that bring them joy. Appreciate your best. The fear that holds overthinking is often based on the feeling that one is not good, smart, diligent, or dedicated enough. In life, there never comes a time when people feel that they have reached their full potential. Therefore, people learn to give their best effort to the tasks that they have to do at each level. In other words, being the best person one can be is a matter of choice and effort. Once a person gives their best effort, they should accept it and know that while success may depend in part on some things that they cannot control, they did the best that they could. The grateful person cannot have a grateful and regretful thought simultaneously. Therefore, why should they not choose to spend the time positively? Consequently, every evening, one should create a habit of listing down all the things that they are grateful for. The person should then find a friend with whom they can share the list. In that way, both people can learn how to share and be grateful for positive things and experiences around them. One needs to form a habit of appreciating the good, however small that may be. Little good things eventually become great things. Chapter 12. How decluttering your mind helps stop overthinking. Thinking about how to declutter your brain. Having a bustling personality can make you feel pushed, restless, and overpowered. But fortunately, we've assembled a rundown of approaches to declutter your brain. The best spot to start to declutter your life is from within. Numerous individuals neglect the advantages of a sound mind can offer. The mind can move towards becoming hindered with psychological weight, and indeed sway an individual's capacity to work. Necessary leadership can turn into a test, and adapting to issues may feel unthinkable when you don't have a clear mental state. It is imperative to figure out how to free your mind of excessive clutter. Since everybody is different, there is nobody's size, fits, or strategy to clear your mind of clutter. Nonetheless, coming up next are some basic methods that can start you on your adventure to decluttering your life by first decluttering your mind. Put pen to paper at the point when you're attempting to keep mental tabs on everything that is going on. Your contemplations are probably going to get confused. Keeping in touch with them down will assist you with prioritizing what's most significant, which will make you feel less focused. You can check significant dates and updates on a schedule or in a scratch pad and scribble down your musings on anything that is stressing you in an individual journal. It doesn't make a difference whether you utilize an application or simply get a pen and paper. Keep at it work a portion of the tips recorded above into your regular day-to-day existence to enable you to offload mental mess. Ensure you get a touch of personal time each day with the goal that you can slow down appropriately, much the same as tidying up your room keeps it from transforming into an all-out dump. Reflecting, composing, ruminating, and conversing with others consistently will help anticipate the development of messiness in your brain. Be careful, we've all heard that reflection is a decent method to clear your brain and unwind. What you might not have heard is that there are a huge number of approaches to be careful. This implies you can search for a way that suits you. Some regular things to attempt are yoga, exercise, and profound relaxation. Some abnormal approaches to rehearse care are washing up, snuggling up, or chilling by the seashore. Do whatever works for you. Identify the issue. It's difficult to fix something if you don't know what's up. Know about admonition signs that your psyche is getting to be stuffed. Some normal things to watch out for are issue resting, poor fixation, and not able to unwind. When you've perceived that your psyche needs a spring clean, the following stage is to discover what's adding to the messiness. Invest significant time to think about how you're feeling. This will assist you in identifying what's worrying you and why. After some time, you will improve at detecting the notice indications of a jumbled personality and have the option to hold things from the beginning, pleasant and early. Converse with somebody. Conversing with a confided-in companion or relative, regardless of whether on the web or eye-to-eye, can be an extraordinary method to clear your psyche. Discharge a few feelings and get whatever's irritating you out into the open. It additionally gets a new take on an issue that has got you puzzled and is worrying you. If you're truly battling, recollect that you don't need to handle your issues without anyone else. There are loads of different experts accessible to chat with about whatever's stressing you. Keep in mind your past and develop from it. Help yourself to remember how you adapted or left a specific circumstance before. You can expect that on occasion you will slip once again into old examples. This is ordinary. Those examples have been developing for a considerable length of time. Stress and blame specifically are difficult feelings. At the point when you get yourself in an old example, ask yourself, how's my self-talk? If you wind up drenched in tension, separate your stresses into two classifications, those you can control and those you can't. Guide yourself to stop whenever stress rings a bell, or you verbalize it for all to hear. Guide yourself to stop. Supplant negative considerations with positive ones. One case of a positive idea is a token of what you do have, rather than what you need. This isn't just about cash yet. Also, your aptitudes, gifts, capacities, companions, family, and supporters. In essence, making a concerted effort to clear your mind of clutter is a tremendous first step that you can take toward getting a handle on overthinking. As you begin to sort out through the fluff, you will be able to make better sense of your life and, most importantly, about the people around you. Bear in mind that if people are feeding that clutter, then it might be time to move away from them. All in good time. Schedules lighten a portion of your mental stress by making a timetable. When you have all assignments sorted out and arranged out, with spare time included between, a significant measure of strain will be lifted. You will live more proficiently and suffer from less overpowering minutes. You can't get ready for everything, and calendars must be changed now and again. In any case, having a reliable schedule for the things you realize you should do, organized by significance, can have a considerable effect on your mental stress. Besides, this is an incredible method for promising you to have time put aside to rehearse your mind. Decluttering systems. Editation for a clear mind. Editation is a famous instrument to help declutter your life and your mind. You don't need to think as it was done in the good old days. Attempt this increasingly modernized system, Start with music you appreciate. A few people profit by uplifting tunes or great songs, while others may prefer something edgier. The class is altogether up to you, and it doesn't need to be unwinding music. Next, locate a place where you can disengage yourself from others and diversions. Use words to remove tension. Written words are an integral asset to declutter your life. How you utilize them is up to you. A few people prefer to write in a diary. This can be private, and nobody else needs to see it. If you are worried about others discovering your written musings, consider writing them down on a piece of paper, and after that discarding it, or demolishing it after you are finished. Start to declutter your life presently, but beginning with your mind. You will feel better, work all the more adequately, and suffer from fewer misfortunes. Besides, when terrible things occur, you will be better prepared to deal with them when your mind is clear of clutter, dealing with life and overthinking. This should be the moment, after all the hard work of the year, when we finally stop fretting and enjoy ourselves. But how do you prevent what if from nagging? Do you think about crowding back? Sometimes we all do worry about things we have said or done, discuss deleted comments, or spend hours dissecting the significance of a specific email or letter. We get pulled into a vortex of negative thoughts and emotions that rob our happiness and excitement almost without knowing it. It's a trend some psychologists call for. The initial thoughts lead to more negative thoughts and questions. Most of us have negative memories, potential worries, and doubts about the present. We're probably not aware of these negative thoughts most times, but if they come across us, even if it's because the climate is dreary or because we drink a lot of wine, it's easier to remember the negative memories and start the cycle of thought over. Most women are overwhelmed with household balancing responsibilities and feel the need to do all this perfectly. They tend to take responsibility for everyone, believe that we ought to be in charge, and set ridiculously high expectations. Chapter 13, How to Stop Overthinking with Mindfulness Meditation. Life today is filled with lots of noise. Every day you have to overcome many forms of distractions from the digital space and the world around you. Before rushing to work, you might want to spend a few minutes checking your emails to see whether your project proposal was accepted. While driving to work, you have to control yourself from getting mad over reckless drivers while in traffic. That's not all. After sitting down in the office and getting ready to begin working, your notifications go off and you're tempted to check your social media pages and look at what your friends are saying. Unfortunately, the clutter that we have to deal with regularly prevents us from thinking clearly. It prevents us from making important decisions that could help to free our minds from worry. For instance, instead of working on your assignment, you might be distracted and waste a lot of time on social media. At the end of the day, you will begin stressing yourself over the fact that you might end up submitting your project later. Before you know it, you're overthinking about something that you ought to have dealt with earlier on. Mindfulness meditation comes in handy as it can help you find peace within yourself and calm your mind. This section will discuss how mindfulness meditation can help you stop overthinking. But first, let's understand what mindfulness meditation is and how you can practice it. Simply put, mindfulness meditation refers to mental training exercises that train your mind to concentrate on your experiences in the present moment. These experiences are the feelings and emotions that you are facing now. The idea here is that you turn off your mind from focusing on everyday chatter and concentrate on the present. Practicing mindfulness meditation calms down the mind as you only focus on the present during the period when you're meditating. How to meditate? First things first, find a quiet place where there are minimal distractions. You can choose to do this indoors or outdoors, as long as there is little noise coming from the surrounding environment. If you prefer doing this indoors, ensure that the lights do not distract you. During the day, Draw your curtains and use natural light. Another important consideration that you should bear in mind is that you should choose to meditate when you're free. Don't do this when you are in the middle of something important. This can end up being a distraction, and it could prevent you from achieving the total focus that it required. How to sit. Posture is an integral aspect of meditation. If you don't assume the right posture, you will find it difficult to meditate. You must assume a good posture that is comfortable for you. Sitting down. You can either choose to sit down on a bed, on a chair, whatever option you choose. Ensure that you are comfortable. When sitting down, confirm that your back is in an upright position. You can use a pillow to stabilize yourself and ensure that you're not straining to maintain an upright position. Positioning your legs. When sitting on the floor, cross your legs. Individuals who are unfit to do this should consider using a seat. If you choose to use a chair, make sure that feet touch the ground. Don't use a chair that will leave your feet hanging. Positioning your arms. Your arms should be comfortably positioned on top of your legs. The point here is that there should be no stiffness in the sitting position that you choose. After assuming the right position, it is time to relax your body and mind. This is achieved by focusing on your breath. Pay attention to how you are breathing. Follow how you are inhaling and exhaling. Notice how your chest moves as a result of the air coming in and out of your nose. Pay attention to all bodily movements that you are experiencing. Feel the expansion of your thorax, the inflation and deflation of your stomach. To easily achieve focus, you can choose to count each breath that you take. A complete inhale and exhale can be counted as one full breath. Continue doing this until you reach a count of 10. With time, your mind can get used to your counting process. Therefore, you could try changing how you count. For example, instead of counting from 1 to 10, count from 10 to 1. This creates more focus on how you're breathing and could, therefore, help you calm your mind. Inevitably, you will realize that your mind tends to wander to other thoughts. This is normal, so don't worry about it. Recognize that your mind is wandering and learn how to bring it back to focus on how you are breathing. Remember, this should be done gently. Don't try to force things when you are in the process of meditating. You should be more aware of yourself and the thoughts and emotions moving around your mind. Therefore, you can manage how you think and what you think about. Your focus here should be on one thing, your breathing. Pay close attention to what is happening in your mind. Notice the thoughts and sensations that come and go. Don't resist them in any way. Just notice them. You are not required to react to these thoughts and sensations in your mind. Sure, they might be burdensome, but try to gently return to your point of focus without judging what you're feeling or experiencing. As you finish, gently bring your attention to where you are now. Sit for a moment without doing anything. Breathe in gently and breathe out while allowing your body and mind to flow with it. Take another deep breath while gently opening your eyes as you complete your meditation. Stop for a moment and decide what you want to achieve within your day. Mindfulness meditation practice is as simple as it sounds. However, it's not that easy. Don't expect immediate results when first starting your meditation exercises. It takes time to master how to do it. Thus, you should aim to make it a habit, as it strengthens your awareness. In time, you will notice the impact it has on you. How mindfulness can help you deal with anxiety. When you learn to live mindfully, you will be more observant about what goes on around you. This means that your mind will be able to think clearly and identify situations or triggers that can make you anxious. The following are ways in which mindfulness can help you manage anxiety. Connecting you to the present. Mindfulness will draw your attention to the present. There is a huge benefit that you gain here because overthinking tends to dwell more on how we perceive our future and our past. Since you will master more control over how you think about your future and past, you will be in a better position to prevent yourself from worry. Mindfulness retrains the brain. One of the most important benefits that you gain by practicing mindfulness is that you can rewire the brain to think positively. There are new thought patterns that you will create through the exercises that you will be adopting. You will begin to appreciate what you have now and enjoy life without regrets. In doing so, you cultivate thoughts and beliefs that motivate you. Mindfulness helps regulate your emotions. Mindfulness can also help you manage your emotions effectively. As you begin to enhance your self-awareness, you garner a deeper insight on how to control your emotions when dealing with everyday stressors. Your emotional intelligence will be given a huge boost. Accordingly, there are minimal chances that you will allow your mind to be consumed with anxiety. Mindfulness shifts our self-perception. Usually, the beliefs that we hold about ourselves drives us to overthink about the things that we can do and those that we can't. For instance, if you believe that people don't like you, then you will fill your mind with self-doubt. You will never be courageous enough to argue confidently amid other people. But fortunately, mindfulness shifts your perception as you will begin to believe in your ability. Practicing mindfulness more often will have a positive impact on your life, since you will be more compassionate about yourself and the world around you. The mere fact that you appreciate what life has to offer implies that you will express gratitude for what you have. This is a great way to perceive life from a positive angle. Mindfulness and healthy sleeping. Besides helping you cope with anxiety, mindfulness can also ensure that you sleep well at night. By living mindfully, your mind gets the opportunity to relax. You will refrain from overthinking things and experiences that you have no control over. There is nothing that you can do about your past and certain aspects of your future. As such, it makes no sense that you should waste your energy ruminating over them. Mindfulness will, therefore, encourage your mind to live in the present, which will have a lasting impact on your sleep patterns. Holding on to negative beliefs about ourselves can prevent us from being happy. This meditation exercise is meant to bring you closer to the stories that you have developed in your mind about yourself and your life. Take a few minutes during the day to introduce yourself to the opinions that you have crafted about yourself. These are the perceptions that are preventing you from being truly happy. Usually, they will deter you from utilizing your full potential. After observing how you feel about these opinions, consider a scenario where you didn't have to believe all these things about yourself. Would you be happier? Recognize the importance of letting go of these perceptions that you have, as it will allow you to live your life without limitations. Mindfulness meditation is a great way of managing how you think. By enhancing your self-awareness, you are in a better position to notice when your mind is thinking too much about something. From the information provided, there is nothing that you benefit from overthinking. The worst thing is that you only torture yourself, as you will live your life feeling worried and full of anxiety. The effects of this are that you will find it difficult to sleep peacefully, and it prevents you from making informed decisions. Use the recommended meditation exercises discussed in this section to prevent yourself from overthinking. Remember, practice makes perfect. As a result, the meditation exercises will help you if you integrate them into your daily routines. Chapter 14. How to Stop Overthinking with Positive Self-Talk. Take a moment and reflect on some of the things that you have said to yourself today. Are you helping to build your self-esteem, or are you criticizing yourself for not being perfect? Self-talk is the inner discussion that you have with yourself. This discussion can either have a positive or negative impact on your life. If you continue to talk to yourself about negative things, then there is a certainty that your mind will be corrupted with negative thoughts. Self-talk is the inner discussion that you have with yourself. Everybody engages in self-talk. However, the impact of self-talk is only evident when you are using it positively. The power of self-talk can lead to an overall boost in your self-esteem and confidence. Moreover, if you convince your inner self that you are beyond certain emotions, then you will also find it easy to overcome emotions that weigh you down. If you can master the art of positive self-talk, you will be more confident about yourself, and this can transform your life in amazing ways. You can't be sure that you will always talk to yourself positively. Therefore, you should understand that self-talk can go in both directions. At times, you will find yourself reflecting on negative things. In other cases, you will think about the good things that you have achieved. Bearing this in mind, you must practice positive self-talk. This can be understood as pushing yourself to think positively, even when you are going through challenges. When you do this, you will approach life more optimistically. As such, overcoming challenges will not be a daunting feat for you, since you can see past the hurdles you are experiencing. If your self-talk is always inclined to think negatively, it doesn't mean that there is nothing you can do about it. With regular practice, you can shift your negative thinking into positive thinking. In time, this will transform you into a more optimistic person that is full of life. Importance of positive self-talk. Research shows that positive self-talk can have a positive impact on your general well-being. The following are other benefits that you can get by regularly practicing positive self-talk. Boosts your confidence. Do you often feel shy when talking to other people? Maybe you don't completely believe in your skills and abilities. Positive self-talk can transform the perceptions that you have about yourself and your abilities. Negative self-talk can hold you back from achieving things in life. It can even prevent you from even trying in the first place. Unfortunately, this can drive you to overthink about the things that you feel as though you should do. Instead of acting, you end up wasting your time overthinking about them. Positive self-talk lets you put aside any doubts that you could have about accomplishing a particular goal. Therefore, you will be motivated to act without worrying whether you will succeed or not. You're simply optimistic about life. There is nothing that can stop you from trying your best when attending any activity. Saves you from depression. Overthinking can make you more susceptible to depression because you garner the perception that you are incapable of performing well. But frankly, this affects your emotional and physical well-being. Some of the effects that you will experience when you're depressed include lack of sleep, lethargy, loss of appetite, nervousness, etc. Positive self-talk can change all of this. It will fill you with the optimism that you need to see past your challenges. As a result, instead of believing that you can't do it, you will begin to convince yourself that you can do it. Positive self-talk can transform how you feel. It's just a matter of changing how you perceive the world around you. Eliminate stress. There are many stresses that we have to overcome every day. The truth is that we all go through stress. The only difference is how we deal with stress. Some people allow stress to overwhelm them. Often, you will find such folks with a negative outlook on life. They will have all sorts of negative comments about life. Life is hard. I can't take it anymore. I'm always tired. Things never get easier, etc. We've heard such comments coming from our friends who have given up on life. The reality is that stress can get the best of you if you surrender. Practicing positive self-talk can help you realize that stress comes and goes. It is a common thing that everybody experiences. Therefore, there is no need to allow it to overwhelm you. When you begin to understand that you can change how you think and overcome stress, you will be less anxious and calmer. As such, this reduces the likelihood of overthinking, protects your heart. We all know that stress is not good for our health. Stress leads to many diseases, including cardiovascular diseases such as stroke. Therefore, by practicing positive self-talk, you will be protecting your heart. But boost your performance. Positive self-talk can also help boost your performance in anything that you do. There are times when you find yourself feeling tired and dejected. For instance, when you wake up in the morning feeling as though you ran several kilometers, this can be draining. It affects how you attend to your daily activities. With positive self-talk, You can tap into your energy reserves and boost your performance. It is surprising how you can quickly change how you feel by thinking positively. Tips for practicing positive self-talk. Have a purpose. There is a good reason why you will hear most people argue that you should live a purposeful life. Undeniably, when you strongly believe that you are here on this earth for a good reason, you will strive to be the best version of yourself. You will be constantly motivated to try to achieve your goals in life. The best part is that you will feel good about your accomplishments. This is because they are an indication that you are heading in the right direction towards your goals. Therefore, when practicing self-talk, always look to a higher purpose that you yearn to achieve. This will keep you on the move without worrying too much about the number of times you stumble. Get rid of toxic people. It is common to have a bad day. We cannot deny the fact that there are times when life seems difficult. Usually, this happens when our emotions overwhelm us. Despite this fact, people have these bad days every day. They never stop talking about their worst experiences. Unfortunately, this can take a negative toll on your life, especially when interacting with other people. Picture a scenario where you are always told about how life is difficult. Your friend keeps mentioning to you that life has changed, and you can't realize your dreams. In time, this is the mindset that you will also develop. There is nothing good that you will see in your life, since you can't think positively. The interesting thing is that you might be making positive changes, but you will unlikely notice. Be grateful. Positive self-talk can also take the form of showing gratitude to the little things that you have. Showing that you are grateful for what you have is a great way of changing your attitude towards life. For instance, if you are not happy about a certain achievement, being grateful that you achieved anything at all can help you develop a positive attitude towards what you achieve. The best part is that it gives you a reason to approach life with optimism. Develop the habit of expressing your gratitude every day. Start your day by writing down some of the things that you are grateful for. It can be as small as being thankful that you woke up. The point here is to tune your mind to focus more on the positive side of life. Never compare yourself to others. It is easy to compare yourself to other people, more so when you feel that you lack something. Sadly, such comparisons only push you to look down on yourself. The comparison game will blind you from seeing the valuable qualities that you have. You will develop a negative attitude towards your abilities as you assume that other people are better than you. Talk positively with other people. Talking positively with other people will have an impact on your self-talk. If you constantly talk about negative things with those around you, then there is a likelihood that you will also engage in negative self-talk. There are probably numerous times where you've heard people say that you become what and how you think. Therefore, if you keep focusing on the negative, expect negativity to flow through your mind. Stop this by trying your best to surround yourself with positivity, starting with the way you talk to other people, but believe in your success. The best way of propelling yourself to succeed in your endeavors is by believing that you can do it. If you don't believe that you can do it, then this holds you back from trying anything. This should be applied to everything you do. For example, if you are working towards losing weight, you should convince yourself that you can do it. This is the first step that will give you the energy you need to overcome challenges on your way to success. Overcome the fear of failure. Succeeding in life also demands that you should overcome the fear of failure. You should always bear in mind that your failures are learning lessons. Most people who have succeeded in life have failed at some point. When you overcome the fear of failure, you will be more than willing to try anything without hesitation. This opens doors to plenty of opportunities. The good news is that you will have learned a lot from the experience of failing. Use positive affirmations. You can also give a positive boost to your self-talk by using positive affirmations. The best way to use these affirmations is by writing them down. Note them somewhere you can easily view them. For instance, you can stick them on your refrigerator or your vision board, if you have one. The importance of positioning them in a convenient place is to guarantee that you motivate yourself every day. Ideally, this is an effective strategy of training your mind to always think positively. Avoid dwelling in the past. When you think too much about the past, it will likely be difficult to focus on the present. This will have an impact on your self-talk. If you keep regretting the mistakes that you have made, there is a good chance that you will think negatively. Your emotions will blind you from thinking clearly. As such, this can have an impact on the decisions you make. You must find a balance between thinking about the future and the present. When thinking about your future, focus on the positive. If there is something that you want, think in that direction and convince yourself that you already have it. Remember the law of attraction that we once discussed. Apply it here when thinking of your future ahead. Chapter 15. Secrets to successfully tame your thoughts. If people knew that succeeding in life was dependent on their actions, they would be less likely to worry about their lives. At times, we go through life with regrets and anxiety. We don't feel ready to let go of the feelings that we have embedded within us. Concerning our future, we worry about tomorrow, but a large number of people don't know the power that they have. The power that you have within you can easily become a destructive force or a constructive force that will push you to succeed in life. You have the power to control your life and live it as you wish. What you think about is what you become. If you keep thinking that you will always struggle in life, rest assured that you will struggle to keep things afloat. Conversely, if you truly believe that everything will fall into place and that your time will come for you to enjoy life, expect to live a life full of optimism. Listen to yourself. Again, this takes us back to the importance of positive self-talk. To tame your thoughts, start by listening to yourself. Do this as though you were explaining something to other people. How would you want to tell other people about the story of your life? Without a doubt, you would want to talk about everything that you have done well. No one would want to tell others negative stories about themselves. Therefore, you should adopt a similar attitude when listening to yourself. Focus on treating yourself with the same respect that you would expect from other people. This means that you should strive to focus on thoughts that put yourself in a positive light. Your inner self is listening. You should always bear in mind that your inner self is listening to your thoughts. This is the inner you. If you continue thinking about negative things, your inner self will listen and conform to how you expect it to behave. When thinking positively, it will also listen to you and adapt to help you perceive life with optimism. Therefore, before blaming other people for the bad things that are happening to you, remember that there is someone within you listening to your self-talk. Befriend your emotional guidance system. There are many cues that you can grasp from your emotions. Learning how to tame your mind can be effectively achieved by being mindful of your emotions. These emotions can easily tell you when you are angry or feeling anxious or overwhelmed about something. Therefore, by being cognizant of your emotions, you can master control over your mind before turning to think about all the negative things. The point here is that you should pause every time you notice that your emotions have changed. You should take some time to evaluate your emotions and the ensuing thoughts before they gain momentum. The effect of this is that it will help you develop an attitude of thinking twice before doing anything. Before doing anything, you will reflect on whether what you're about to do is positive or not. At the end of the day, you increase the likelihood of making the right decisions without allowing emotions to cloud your judgment. Find your stop signs. Another practical tip that can make a difference in how you think is visualizing stop signs that signal to you that you should stop thinking about something. Your stop signs will warrant that you can regain your senses and avoid thinking about your past or worrying about your future. The best way of using these stop signs is to remind you that your thoughts are not helping to build you up. For instance, you can come up with a stop sign that reminds you that you are overthinking about events that prevent you from being happy. It might take some time for you to master how to use these stop signs, but the outcome will be rewarding as it will enhance your self-awareness. Consider words as your nutrition. When thinking about improving our health, we know perfectly well that this can only be done by eating right. The foods that you choose to eat have an impact on your health. In the same manner, the words that float around in your mind have an impact on your mental health. This means that it is essential that you control the information that you feed into your mind. For example, watching horrific content on television might not be as entertaining as you think. In the long run, this will hurt how you think and the thoughts that frequent your mind. Remind yourself with affirmations. Becoming the master of your mind also demands that you stay on top of your game. You have to keep yourself engaged in positive gear. Sure, there are instances when you might slip up and think negatively, but with the right affirmations, you will feel unstoppable. Have these affirmations in areas where you can easily see them. Pin them next to your files in your office. Before going to bed, remind yourself of your higher purpose by reading out these affirmations to yourself. They can eliminate anxiety and soothe you to sleep better. Take out the trash. Increasing your self-awareness about your thoughts will give you the advantage of identifying unnecessary thoughts and emotions. When you do this consistently, you will find it easier to declutter your mind. The notion of taking out the trash shouldn't drive you to overthink about your past. The point here is to develop an attitude where you simply admit that some thoughts are not worth holding on to. Practice meditation exercises as a way of increasing your self-awareness. This is the best way of raising your antennas high enough to pick any signals of unwanted thoughts in your mind. Pursue meaning over pleasure. There is a good reason why you should strive to be happy. Most people have never realized that there are negative effects of focusing too much on striving for positivity. Sure, we all want our lives to be full of happiness. However, we should come to terms with the fact that too much of anything is detrimental. This also applies to happiness. When we go about chasing happiness, we surround ourselves with all the things that can keep us entertained and full of joy. The downside of this kind of life is that it can blind us with unrealistic optimism. Indeed, without going through pain in life, it is difficult to grow. You will not learn how to deal with the challenges of life that transform you into a strong human being. Therefore, this should signal to you that going through anxiety and stress in the short run is not a bad thing, but it is healthy. Flex your muscle memory. Consistently sharpening your memory will undeniably help you in many ways. For example, it will ensure that you can hold on to memories that you don't want to forget. We have stressed the importance of letting go of your past. However, you should bear in mind that certain memories are worth treasuring and certain skills are worth practicing. Thus, you should always strive to improve your muscle memory. Chapter 16. Countering Overthinking. Step towards an improved life. Overthinking, along with the consequent guilt and nervousness, is an enormous hindrance in your life and can also be surprisingly common. However, with a couple daily of methods and also a determined attitude, it can be easily overcome. Calming your mind is a special skill that takes determination, consistency, and patience. The reason why it is beneficial to quiet your mind is that so many benefits come from having peace within yourself. When you find peace on the inside, it will become easier to find peace outside of you in every situation and environment you surround yourself with. The goal behind inner peace and a quiet mind isn't to stop thinking, but to surpass the barriers your mind keeps you trapped in. Here are 5 secrets to finding inner peace and quieting the mind. Consciously and purposely challenge your thoughts. This technique revolves around cognitive behavioral therapy. Many psychologists swear by this method because it means that you can control or alter your thoughts to another direction and create new patterns or habits of the way you interact with your thoughts. You take control back by challenging them. Start by asking yourself about your thoughts. If your thought is that you aren't good enough, then ask yourself where this comes from. Are you jumping to conclusions? Which one of the cognitive distortions does this thought fall under? Next, find the positive. What has happened in your life that you feel you are not good enough? Finding the root of the thought where it's coming from can give you insight on taking your control back, because then you can replace it with the truth. Intentionally focus on your breathing. A lot of the time, we get anxious, worried, or set off our false alarm triggers because we aren't breathing properly. Close your eyes and focus on where your breath is coming from, your stomach, chest, or nose. Then just practice noticing your breath without changing it. Once you have figured out where your breath is coming from and how you are breathing, then you can focus on taking in deep, long breaths. Count your inhale to 5 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, and exhale for 5 to 7 seconds. Repeat until you feel calmer, then go back to normal breathing before you open your eyes again. Play calming music, which relaxes and motivates you. Music is one of the best healers out there. When we can relate to the singer, they become our favorite artist, and then we can feel more relaxed, knowing that they are singing about what we feel comfortable relating to. If instrumental is more your thing, then just pay attention to the rhythm and the noise it makes. Close your eyes and try to concentrate on the background noises that you may not have noticed before. Try to name the instruments and memorize the tune. Participate in regular exercise. When we exercise daily, it releases those feel-good chemicals we previously talked about. When the dopamine is released, it becomes easier for our brain to produce more serotonin, which makes us happy. When we are happy, we don't feel so stressed, and our thoughts don't become so overwhelming or overpowering. The idea is to work our bodies physically so our minds don't have the energy to overthink or create mental chatter. Acknowledgement, the initial move towards managing intemperate overthinking and tension, is tolerating the issue in any case. Directly after this, would you have the option to feel free to settle it? In any case, while realizing that you are an overthinker is significant, it is likewise indispensable that you understand that you are not the only one in the circumstance, and that there is no motivation to free. Overthinking is a common thing among many individuals today, and you would almost certainly beat it with an inspirational demeanor. The best minute is the present minute. The best thing you can do about overthinking is to remain with the present. Your cerebrum can't consider faraway issues if it's focused on the present moment. You additionally figure out how to value your environment, and being in the present improves your presentation on any assignment fundamentally. Also, even though it is a lot more complicated than one might expect, there are a couple of strategies that you can practice day by day to limit the cycle of negative musings. Be certain at the point when full to the overflow with confidence and liking yourself, you develop a positive outlook. You would end up to be less inclined to overthinking. Thus, everything that you do or say ends up being improved. The first thing you can do is get occupied. Structure an arrangement of what to accomplish for the afternoon, and continue being profitable. Doing things shield your brain from straying, and notwithstanding that, completing stuff results in an extraordinary lift in certainty through a feeling of achievement. You ought to likewise attempt and accomplish something you're great at any rate once every day. Regardless of whether you're a specialist at playing an instrument or you have a remarkable ability for a computer game, take a break from your calendar and do it. It'll be an incredible assistance. Try not to overpower yourself. This can cause significantly more tension. It is effortless for us to perceive how hard an assignment will be to finish. It's human instinct to be overpowered. When you place yourself in this circumstance, you're just making it more difficult to finish the activity. Negative considerations can make you backtrack on what you're endeavoring to do. Stop yourself in case you're starting to change each seemingly insignificant detail that has to do with completing the job needing to be done. As referenced above, Do the most significant things first, and proceed onward once finished. Brain reboot. The best way to overcome negative thinking, worrying, and overthinking is to reset the brain. First, you need to be able to accept change and overcome your fears that the thoughts bring into your mind. Secondly, you need to be willing to learn how to change your state of mind and the way you think. The biggest question is, how do we do this? Most of the rebooting process is what we have already talked about. However, the objective of the other techniques was to stop the overthinking patterns. The primary reason most people have an overactive mind is that there is a lot more information to process in today's society compared to 3 decades ago. Stop multitasking. Although multitasking can be a good thing, this is one reason why our brain operates on overdrive. When we try to focus, think about, or do too many things at once, it means that our brains are switching focus from one thing to the next, then to the next. This way of thinking weakens the ability to get multiple things done at once. For example, do you find when you clean your house that you start with the dishes, then you move on to vacuuming before the dishes are done, then you continue to wipe the counters and find yourself sweeping or mopping the floor twice? You may find that after all that work, you are more exhausted, but when you look around you still have laundry or more dishes to do, and it looks as if you did nothing. This is the effect of multitasking. Acceptance. The very first step towards handling excess overthinking and stress would be accepting the issue at the first location. Just following this, will you find a way to go right ahead and solve it? Overthinking is a standard thing for plenty of people now, and you also could have the ability to overcome it through having a favorable approach. Learn to be aware just like any other problem that you might be going through. The best way of solving it is by understanding the causes of the problem in the first place. Concerning overthinking, the first step towards dealing with it is by recognizing that you are overthinking. You should live consciously by knowing what is happening in your mind. Anytime you feel overwhelmed and stressed, you should take a moment to analyze the situation that you are going through. Your awareness should denote to you that these thoughts roaming in your mind are not helpful. Enhancing your level of self-awareness will help you stop yourself from thinking too much. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Another effective way of increasing your self-awareness is by knowing your strengths and coping with your weaknesses. Undeniably, as humans, we are not perfect. The strengths and weaknesses that we have affect how we work towards our goals. In this regard, most people will only focus on doing the things that they are good at, while doing their best to ignore their weaknesses. Knowing yourself better ensures that you don't waste your time and energy doing activities that will only make you feel negatively about yourself. Know your emotional triggers. You must know the emotional triggers that frequently influence your reactions. By knowing these triggers, you can catch yourself before overreacting. Moreover, your self-awareness can be helpful here as it guarantees that your emotions do not overwhelm you. Instead of reacting without thinking twice, you can stop to mull over a particular scenario and act accordingly. Practice self-discipline every day. Your life will revolve around things that you wish to accomplish. Achieving set goals can be a very positive experience. However, this doesn't come easily. You have to be willing to pay the price. This means that you should learn how to effectively control yourself and focus on what's more important. This is what self-discipline is all about. You should be ready to do anything that brings you closer to your goals. Try new experiences. There is a lot that you can gain from life when you learn to value the importance of new experiences. To think about it this way, the more you know, the more you find different ways of approaching life and solving the problems you are facing. Don't limit yourself by going through life with the same perceptions and doing the same things over and over again. Frankly, this will make every aspect of your life boring. Go out, have fun, try new things and challenges. Motivate yourself. We all need motivation at some point in life. When you are motivated to do something, your mind has the energy it needs to see through a particular challenge. Therefore, motivation warrants that you embrace positivity in spite of the problems that you might be going through. Indeed, this also has an impact on your self-awareness, since you are surer about yourself and your abilities. Get a second opinion. We all know how it feels when you manage to complete a project yourself. However, at times you should recognize that you can't do everything alone. As you might have heard, two heads are better than one. Save yourself from the nightmare of weighing your options on something over and over again. Just ask someone else for a second opinion. You will be surprised that you can easily solve a problem that once appeared too difficult for you. Their therapy works in the same manner, since you get an opportunity to talk over your thoughts with an expert. To stay positive when you are constantly worried that something could go wrong, your mind will race through varying thoughts, trying to figure out the best possible solution to solve your situation. Instead of paying too much attention to the negative, change your thoughts and reflect on all the good things that can happen to you. Savor these moments and help your mind adjust to the fact that you can also be happy. Develop a habit of encouraging your thoughts to stay positive. Identify distractions. There is a common phrase that goes, "What you resist persists." In line with the habit of overthinking, trying to prevent yourself from thinking about something only makes you think too much about it. As a result, the best way of stopping this is by doing something more engaging. Go for a walk with friends. Learn to play a new musical instrument. The point here is that you should make an effort to distract your mind. Stop being a perfectionist. There is a good feeling that comes with knowing that you have done something perfectly. However, it is quite demanding to do things perfectly all the time. In your everyday life, you should leave room for mistakes. This ascertains that you will not be frustrated when something goes wrong. Don't focus on learning from your mistakes. Ultimately, you will notice that you start paying less attention to doing things perfectly. This creates room for more opportunities, since you will be willing to try anything, whether you succeed or not. Set deadlines. Spending too much time thinking about a decision can lead to overthinking. Some decisions do not require you to think too much about them. They are simple choices that you can make within a short period. Therefore, it makes sense to set deadlines that you will make a specific decision before the end of the day. Depending on the importance of the decision, you should set ample time to ensure you end up making sound decisions. Surround yourself with the right people. At times, it is difficult to think positively if the people you surround yourself with frequently have negative thoughts. If you spend most of your time with people who are always worrying, then you can be sure that you will also find yourself worrying. On the contrary, if you surround yourself with people who always think positively, you will also be influenced to have this perception about your dreams and aspirations. Therefore, you can help stop overthinking by choosing to spend time with productive and positive people. They will help free your mind from worrying about what the future holds for you. With their positive energy, you will appreciate the importance of living in the present. Do your best when facing new challenges in life. It is a common thing to see most people worry about what they can and cannot do. Unfortunately, this worrying attitude prevents people from handling challenging situations effectively. When faced with difficult situations, it is imperative to focus on giving it your best without thinking too much as to whether you got it right or not. You never know. There are certain situations when the outcome is not as important as you thought. Create a to-do list. We can attest to the fact that there are instances when the mind tends to blow things out of proportion. Have you ever heard your inner voice try and convince you that you cannot complete a certain project within a specified period? Frankly, this happens many times where the mind jumps to the conclusion that you have more things to do than you do. The funny thing is that the mind will even go to the extent of giving you reasons why you cannot complete the project. To prevent this from happening, you should learn how to work using a to-do list. A to-do list keeps things organized. It guarantees that you can handle one task at a time without making it burdensome for your mind to tackle. Cut yourself some slack. The desire to succeed might be too ingrained in you that you cannot think of anything else that is not related to what you want. This leads to a scenario where you are too hard on yourself. You will find it difficult to forgive yourself for the little mistakes that you make along the way. Unfortunately, this leads to overthinking. The truth is that you can't always expect that things will go your way. We are human beings, and therefore, we are prone to making mistakes. Successful people understand the importance of making mistakes. It allows them to identify their weaknesses and work on them before reaching their goals. Imagine if people only succeeded without making mistakes. Mistakes should be perceived as a stepping stone towards success. As such, always remember that being too hard on yourself is damaging. Be optimistic. When you feel comfortable with yourself and have self-esteem, you build up a positive outlook. You'd find yourself less inclined to overthink, so that anything you do or say is better done. One of the first things you can do is get involved. Create a schedule for what to do for the day and continue to be successful. Doing things stop you from wandering away, and getting things done will lead to a huge increase in confidence through a feeling of accomplishment. You should also try to do something at least once a day. You are great. Whether you are an instrument player or you have outstanding video games talent, take a while off your schedule and do it. It will be a big help. Seeking to monitor all of your life's outcomes is, without a doubt, the main cause of overthinking, because you are also forced to think feverishly about what to do at every stage in your life, in fear of what might happen next. The best thing you can do is not to convince yourself. Realize that in your life, you have no say, and there's no reason to worry. The world has determined your fate, so you should make the most of every moment. Try to remember that before anything, you might hesitate to do it, and it will encourage you to stop and do it. You can also make other timescales to take any decision, whether it's to speak to someone or to make greater decisions in your life that may cause you to overthink. Take a minute for the little ones, and a couple of days for the bigger ones in life. This would lead you to evaluate a decision rationally and to work to make the best possible option. Arm yourself when you make a decision and do it. It may be frightening, but at the end of the day, you find it satisfying. Be convinced when close to the brim with self-esteem and feeling good about yourself. You develop an optimistic mindset. You'd wind up to be prone to overthinking. Therefore, everything you do or state works out to be achieved. Among the initial things that you could do is get busy. Form an agenda of what direction to go to your afternoon, and also maintain being productive. Doing matters keep the mind from drifting off. Also, along with this, getting stuff results in a fantastic boost in confidence by means of a feeling of achievement. It's also advisable to attempt to do something you are excellent at least one time per day. Whether you are an expert in playing with an instrument, or you also have a tremendously ability for a game, take time away from the program and also do it. It will be a wonderful assistance. Focus less on outcomes. Whatever activity you are involved in, you should have a clearly defined goal. This will provide you with a starting point that will help to determine the correct direction or course of action that you should take, a way to measure your progress and success, and an incentive to improve and grow. Having a goal that you feel motivated to achieve will inspire you to lead a happy, healthy, fulfilling life. But achieving goals first involves identifying and accepting the present condition we are in. Hard as it may be to accept an unpleasant reality, that is the first step to addressing the issue at hand. Start by looking back at your past. Resist the urge to regret any decisions you have made to improve your life, even if the outcomes were not what you hoped for. Instead of focusing on things that did not go as planned, why not focus on the accomplishments you've achieved over the years? This will help you achieve even more in the future. Focusing on past negative outcomes will not help you achieve positive future ones. Take a daily dose of meditation. You need to learn more about yourself every day. One of the best ways to achieve this is through meditation. You can greatly improve your mental and emotional health if you take time each day for yourself and use that valuable quiet time to meditate. Meditation will help you to clear your mind so that you can better focus on who you are and what you truly want in life. It is one of the best ways you can develop a clear insight into your life. This insight will make it easier for you to stay true to yourself. But furthermore, it will help you to identify any problems you are facing and seek the guidance needed to break free from these problems. You can start to put your heart and soul into working on creative ideas that will help you to improve your life and to achieve your goals. Avoid being paralyzed by perfectionism, who says that you must be a perfectionist to be successful in life. It will only make it more difficult for you to reach your goals. For example, a perfectionistic person trying to lose weight might become so careful about what he eats and how he trains that he might lose sight of his real goals. You don't need to be perfect to reach your goals. You only need to keep putting in the necessary effort to achieve success. What does this involve? Cultivate virtues like patience. Trust your abilities and be consistent. If you take the perfectionistic route, you will always find something you're not doing right each day. You will be focusing negatively on what you don't want. This will not help you to achieve positive outcomes. Instead of striving for perfection, address each day as it comes, work hard, and focus positively on achieving your goals. In the long run, you will achieve what you set out to do, but in the meantime, keep finding ways to improve, to be just a little bit today than you were yesterday. Don't dwell on what others think about you. The truth is, people can be so critical. Despite your efforts, some people will never appreciate anything you do or achieve. Negative critical feedback may make you feel scared or less confident. You may feel as if you are not anywhere close to success. Overcoming such feelings can be extremely difficult. It is impossible to know exactly what others are thinking. Remember, everyone may see a different version of you, depending on what they choose to look at, and the cognitive biases that they possess. Often, how they perceive you may not have anything to do with who you are. Also, their opinions may change, depending on a multitude of different factors. Break big goals into smaller ones, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Your goal is huge, and that's great. But what does it include? The best way to know is by having an outline, a detailed plan to achieving your dream. Instead of chasing it all at once, why not break it into smaller, manageable goals? This will allow you to enjoy the journey towards achieving your big goal or dream. Breaking larger goals down into smaller ones will help you stay motivated. You will face tough times, but you can overcome them if you remind yourself of the smaller successes you have achieved on the way to your larger ones. Enjoying these positive outcomes will contribute to your momentum along the way to your greatness. Chapter 17. How to self-medicate. Obsessing over what could have been or what could be is counterproductive for everyone trying to live more in the moment or find practical means of reaching their goals. While hypothetical situations can be beneficial in certain situations, when they start to become all that a person can think about whenever faced with a task or challenge, then it has reached a point of being out of control that is damaging to their health. The best way to stop focusing on the potential options and start taking control of your present situation is to practice being more self-aware of your thoughts and impulses when you realize you are starting to get lost in a whirlwind of hypotheticals. When individuals notice that they are stuck in a cycle of what-ifs, the best course of action is to change their thinking from the emotional, fearful, and panic-driven to rationale. Most people who practice this method take a step back to analyze their current thoughts or whatever concern is causing them to overthink in terms of the big picture. Once this is done, and they have taken a moment to calm their dominant emotions, the next step is to take their improved understanding of the situation and make a list of pros and cons or risks and benefits. The specifics of the list or chart will depend on what works best for the situation. The purpose of this is not just to make a list and get their thoughts organized, but to give the person a collection of practical reasons why, or why not, they should be doing something. Those practical reasons help them to make a logical and reasonable decision based on productive thinking, instead of an impulsive course of action inspired by fear or other strong emotion. Ask for help, reach out to the people who love you, or build a network of support around you. No one is strongest when they are alone, despite what the antisocial and aggressive personality types may try to argue about it. Like with any psychological habit or negative behavior, people have a better chance of conquering it if they let others know what they are doing and recruit people to join their fight and help hold them responsible. By building a support network of people who love them and want to see them succeed, people are better able to stick to the goals they create for themselves and also have a security net to help keep them focused, motivated, and on track on days when the person feels low or is less interested in what their mind is doing than just using their overthinking habit as a way to escape their current problems and concerns. This can be difficult for those who have difficulty communicating with others about their feelings, their thoughts, or concerns. However, studies have shown that those who have people holding them accountable and those who swallow their pride and ask for help have higher success rates in all aspects of their life than those who bottle up their emotions and separate themselves from people who could boost their spirits and encourage them when they are feeling down. The music method. Take control of thoughts by turning to your favorite tunes, the part of the brain that fuels habitual overthinking and the part that is most active when a person is enjoying music are separate areas that do not actively function at the same time. What this means for people who are trying to defeat their impulses to overthink things is that with this method, they stand their best chances of taking control of their thoughts and emotions by plugging in their headphones and getting lost in their favorite songs, channels, or stations. Music has a strong connection to a person's emotional state and can affect the way a person feels in the moment or even boost the brain's overall performance. There have been countless studies done on the effects of classical music on the brain, with most of them showing an improvement in total understanding, thought processing, creativity, and the absorption and processing of newly learned information. If someone is trying to stop their overthinking using the music method, then the first step is to become aware of their current emotional status and their emotions connected to the concern or issue that is causing their overthinking. Once that emotion, or collection of emotions, has been identified, the next step is to choose songs, styles, or artists that inspire the opposite emotions in you when you let go of stress and allow yourself to get lost in the sounds. Meditation or mantras. There's no limit to their usefulness. These techniques have a habit of showing up on just about any self-help call to action or to-do list. As overpublished and talked about as some people claim they are, there is a reason for their popularity and widespread appeal. They work for just about anything they are put to use for. Meditation is a mental and spiritual exercise that helps individuals become more aware of their physical, mental, and emotional state to better understand themselves as a whole. The ultimate impact of a meditation session is different from person to person, depending on their specific concerns and the task or goal they are trying to reach. There are hundreds of free meditation tracks available on sites like YouTube for no cost at all, and a wide range of meditation apps and channels available for free or subscription throughout the internet and in the app stores. For those who are not interested or have not had any noticeable progress with practices like meditation, or for those who want to personalize their meditation experience, creating a personal mantra is a great first step. Many overthinkers trying to regain control over their mind and emotions have seen amazing success with mantras. Mantras are a short statement, a phrase or question that a person repeats, mentally or out loud, repetitively, to inspire a change of emotion or a break in a certain cycle of thinking. The repetition of this personal statement is intended to reinforce something that the person is hoping to achieve, or something they need to remind themselves in an attempt to stay motivated or improve a stressed or depressed mood that is negatively affecting their thoughts or behaviors. Get out of the house to volunteer. Turn your thoughts to the needs of others. One of the most commonly shared traits of overthinkers is that they tend to be focused on their thoughts, concerns, and responsibilities, sometimes real but often imagined through hypothetical situations and anxious thought circling. This centralized thinking can often come across as narcissism or even pride, even though in many cases the person in question also struggles with low self-esteem or a lack of confidence. One of the actions someone can take to overcome their damaging and habitual overthinking is to take themselves out of their familiar surroundings and change their perspective to get a more open and wider view of the world around them. Often people who try this method for conquering their overthinking find that they do not even have to travel very far, but that there are people within their community that can benefit from volunteering efforts like feeding underprivileged families or collecting donations for the homeless community in their area. These are just some of the most popular and widely available activities that can be found in nearly any community or nearby city for those who live in smaller or more secluded areas. The conversational exercise. Stretch out all of those social muscles or skills for those who do not have the time to get involved with a volunteer program and are searching for a smaller exercise that they can take part in whenever or wherever they may find themselves throughout the day. Another popular exercise for those looking to focus on the needs of others is as follows. Pick 3 people you have been wanting to contact or catch up with. Once the 3 people have been chosen, send each of them a message or an email, letting them know that you have been thinking about them and asking about how they are. Give them a few days to respond before following up if you would like to, but in terms of the exercise, whether or not they respond is not important. The reason for this is because the purpose of this exercise is to turn your thoughts to someone else when you notice yourself starting to overthink. As long as you chose 3 friends or family members and sent them some form of message to see how they are, you have achieved your goal and taken the first step into building a positive habit of changing the way your mind works when you start to habitually and compulsively overthink. Conclusion: we must always be aware of our thoughts and actions, but a person can influence himself negatively by being obsessive, leading to self-destructive behavior. Very often, people are not sure how to solve these problems and can use jealousy and denial behaviors, which nourish their insecurities. At this point, you should have developed a positive mindset towards life, knowing very well that it's never too late to start fresh. Overthinking is an issue that holds people back from reaching their full potential in life. It occurs when you spend too much time ruminating about what needs to be done instead of doing it. A major problem caused by overthinking is that you will never take the time to simply act. This means that you will have a lot that is pending in your life. Your relationships will be affected, your career will always be at a standstill, and your business would even stagnate. This is because there is nothing that you do about the thoughts that come to your mind. You only waste your time and energy thinking. Overthinking has numerous detrimental effects on the body and in your life. Since you feel like there is little that you do about what needs to be done, you will live a life full of worry. You will always worry that the worst could happen, since you are not working towards achieving your goals. Nobody knows what the future holds. As a result, thinking too much about what might be will only lead to stress. Failure to deal with this in time could escalate to depression. Blaming yourself for the mistakes that you have made in the past will never help you overcome the challenges that you are experiencing. The worst case is that it only makes things worse, since it evokes negative emotions about yourself and your ability. The secret of harnessing the power of your mind is not in doing the right things once, it is in doing them consistently. Overthinking can happen to anyone. As a result, it is a common thing to find yourself thinking too much from time to time. Regardless, it is worth taking the time to understand how your mind works to ensure that you can catch yourself overthinking and stop it. As you go through your daily life, you should always remember that what you think about is what you become. This is the main reason why overthinking is tied to anxiety, stress, and negative thinking. Based on the law of attraction, you attract what you want in your life through your thoughts and emotions. You should strive to find good in everything you go through in life. Through applying the techniques and knowledge you have gained from listening this audiobook, you now have the tools you need to manage your overthinking and live a happy and healthy life.